Sydney and Essendon and Brisbane and Collingwood, courtesy of Ladbrokes. Let's check the odds now with Belinda Reverso.
Thanks, Sandy. It's been a big week off-field for Essendon after an even bigger couple of years. So it'll be interesting to see what effect the AFL tribunal decision has on-field against the Swans, who will start as the hot favourites. Brisbane and Collingwood follow, and after an impressive NAB Challenge series, the Lions have been well backed to beat the Magpies, who have had their own issues of late. Don't forget, all our markets for all the games across all 23 rounds are up now, and plenty of specials too. Check them out at ladbrokes.com.au and, of course, gamble responsibly. Back to you, Sandy.
Thank you, Belinda. Brisbane and Collingwood coming up shortly, but now we're focusing our attention on Sydney and Essendon. The harbour city has had a lot of rain. We believe much of it has cleared, so that is good news. As we head to ANZ Stadium now for a preview of the game between Sydney and Essendon, two gentlemen who between them managed to string together 1,848 goals. No mean feat. Jonathan Brown and Jason Dunstall, welcome, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Sandy. I can confirm the good news. The rain has finally stopped after a horrible few days here. And Jonathan Brown alongside me. What a game we've got to look forward to. The grand finalists from last year, Sydney, they have redemption on their mind. And Essendon, finally, the weight of the world lifted off their shoulders.
Well, it's been a huge week. Everyone's been talking about Essendon, but I'm really interested to see Sydney. How do they recover from one of the worst performances Sydney's put together for the last decade?
Well, you might be looking forward to seeing Sydney. I think I'm more interested in finding out exactly what the Bombers are going to offer up today, given none of those players have actually played in practice matches throughout the NAB Challenge. So what a test that has been. And without any further ado, I think we go straight to the man of the moment. The coach of the Essendon Football Club is James Hird, and Cam Mooney has caught up with him. All right, let's take a look at the Bombers lineup, Brownie, and it's a pretty strong-looking lineup on paper.
It is. I was really interested to see where Carlisle and Hurley would play. Looks like Hurley will go back, potentially Carlisle could go forward, but they've named Carlisle back, so really interesting one for me. Bell Chambers is a big one. He's got to carry a big load in the ruck. With Paddy Ryder gone, he also needs to go forward and kick goals, because that's been a problem for Essendon.
Yeah, and Ben Howard has been named as the sub for the Bombers. There's the Swans lineup. And it's going to be interesting to see exactly where Sam Reid plays. He was doing the pre-match warm-up with the forwards, so expect to see a pretty tall forward line for the Swans.
Interestingly, Kurt Tippett named in the ruck, and that's a good thing. I think he needs to play some more game time in the ruck, freeing him up. It's going to be a big one.
So Jake Lloyd, the nominated sub for the Swans. Sandy, just about ready to go here at ANZ Stadium. It should be an absolute beauty between the Bombers and the Swans.
We'll be back with that game at ANZ Stadium very, very soon. The good news is the rain has cleared, we believe, as Jason said, so hopefully that surface not too bad and we can get set for what should be an absolute belter of a game. Sydney coming out onto the ground now, and, well, the one word that sums them up this year is redemption. So disappointed after losing the grand final, going into it as favourites, and, well, really Hawthorn played them at their own game and they did it in style. So the Swannies have a long season ahead, but with only one thing on their mind, and that is redemption. Essendon, on the other hand, the shackles are off after almost 800 days, and they are here to play. And we'll be back with them right after this break. So while the Demons are celebrating their win, we are set for Essendon and the Sydney Swans. Swans out on the ground at the moment. The rain has cleared. We're set for what should be a belter of a game, so I hope you can stay with us. We're going to head up there now. Our team is in position. It's headed up by Dwayne Russell. Welcome to you, Dwayne.
Thanks, Sandy. Pleasure to be here for the Saturday afternoon match of the round. Great anticipation here. Everybody wondering how Essendon is going to come out after the 2 years they've had. Let's go downstairs. Cameron Mooney caught up with their coach, James Hird.
Hirdy, it's been a magnificent week for you guys. A great result. How have the boys been this week? A lot of pressure must have been taken off. How were they on the track?
Yeah, very much so. Obviously, Monday we were pretty nervous, and Tuesday a lot of relief. Wednesday, Thursday, I think the guys are pretty tired actually. But training yesterday was great, and in the room, there's just, they're ready to play. They want to play. That's been taken away from them. now they're back, and I think you'll see a very competitive performance by the boys.
You're going into some uncharted territory here, aren't you? You're playing 13 players without a game going into round one. Do you believe you've got the enough work into them?
Look, we think so. We won't know till the end of the game, but what I do know is they're going to give 100% of their effort. And whatever happens today, we're very proud of these Essendon players.
What about Sydney? Their pre-season's been a bit up and down. What have you taken out of their pre-season?
I think they've got quality players. I mean, Sydney's pre-season's never, on the track, on the game, it's never exactly as some of the top teams that perform pre-season, but on the training track they're training well, and they're the grand finalists from last year, and they're a quality outfit. So we've got our work cut out, but I think we'll be competitive.
All right, Hurdy, good luck today. Thanks for your time, mate.
Thanks, Cameron.
James Hird with Cameron Mooney, and it's the players that we're talking about most of the time. But this is a big moment for James Hird as well. He's just come back from a year suspension himself, so he's back at the helm, and we're about to see him coaching again to find out whether he can actually coach, because it's been a tough couple of years for him.
I think there's no doubt that the spotlight's firmly on the Essendon Football Club. Hirdy probably has his own doubts about exactly how his coaching is going to evolve over the next couple of seasons. But how tough is it? We talk about players, Brownie. There are some players that can come in on an underdone pre-season and just walk straight into round one. Really good players pick it up and they go. But when you've got half a team that's been unable to play the NAB Challenge games, that puts a slightly different spin on things.
That is the question mark. And as much as they have been training really hard, playing match simulation against each other at training, you cannot compare against playing games against opposition. Opposition you don't talk to every day. Blokes here, the contact just goes a little bit harder. So that's the question mark. I used to always enjoy playing first up. Always thought you were fresher. Second up was harder, but for 13 to be doing it, that's a bit of a question mark.
Been raining overnight. Let's go back downstairs to Cameron Mooney.
Yeah, g'day Dwayne, g'day guys. Look, it has been raining. It still is raining a little bit at the moment, but it's not too bad. We know they've had a lot of rain over the last 24 hours, and considering that, the ground looks in pretty good condition. We know they had a rugby league game here last night as well, so the ground does look good. Look, I'm looking forward to a really good game tonight. We talked about key forwards, both ends. Look, I don't think it's going to be their night tonight because of the conditions, so look for the smalls to really hit the scoreboard.
It's going to be, well, fingers crossed, I guess, hoping those grey skies stay just that without any more rain coming. But a lot of focus is going to be on the key forwards for the Swans, Brownie, because they do go a lot to Buddy Franklin, of course, and also Kurt Tippett.
They do it the most in the competition, really, for that two-pronged attack. Obviously, they go to Buddy Franklin the most out of any forward in the competition, and Tippett's quite high up there as well. And grand final day, they pretty much only went to those two guys, and Sydney, of course, couldn't win the game. But Tippett, if he can stay fit and healthy, he's only going to help Franklin's game, I believe.
I'm really looking forward to the number 5 jumper for the Sydney Swans, young Isaac Heaney. I know you know a little bit about him, Dwayne, but he's looked exciting. He's looked very much at home and comfortable already through the NAB Challenge.
Well, and he's a local product. I think it's great for the game. This academy, it's been much talked about. The boy from Newcastle, I believe, Dwayne.
Yeah, he is, and Cardiff, which is virtually Newcastle. And the story goes that right through his junior career in Newcastle, the opposition game plan was kick it away from the kid with the blonde hair. That was what every kid was told in Newcastle that played AFL for 8 years of his junior career. He can go, they say.
And I think they really need these draft picks to come through. Of course, their salary cap is getting lessened. They're losing that COLA allowance over the next year or two. They lost the ability to trade for players throughout the off-season, so they really need some of these younger draft picks to come along.
It is an interesting setup. We just saw the teams go to their position. Mike Pike goes to the bench for the Sydney Swans, and Kurt Tippett will start in the ruck. So it's a good opportunity, I think, for Sam Reid to find himself a spot back in that forward mix for the Swans, because he's been a little bit lost over the last few years. And we know he's had a horrible run with injuries, but when he has been playing, even though he hasn't had great continuity, the form hasn't really been there either.
No, it has. It's been a chock-full forward line under Franklin, Tippett, Goods, and trying to fit Reid in there as well. You can't play 4 talls in a forward line and be effective. Here we go.
Hurley goes to Franklin.
It's been a long wait for this. And the past, now history, a new future begins for both these teams, but been so much spoken about Essendon. We're underway. Kennedy to take the ball from the middle. Free kick. Reid and Franklin both starting forward as mentioned. Neither can get there. Good tackle late on Towers. Got it out. Towed off the deck. Adam Goods. Another season for him. 34 years of age. Now Adam Goods. Young by Dustin Fletcher's measure, of course. He'll play next month as a 40-year-old. Shaw. Goddard steals it back. Hammered away in the end by Hibbert. Didn't quite work. It did work. Melksham
Yeah, he had to pull up because there was no one forward to kick to. There are a couple of Swans players waiting back. Grundy in particular, who we know does that sweeping role so well.
Myers, the big floater forward. Danaher went for it. Smith crumbs it. Caught a little high.
Look, it's a free kick given, but I love the way they've been aggressive early. Their tackling's been very good, the Bombers.
All-Australian last year, Nick Smith. Sends it long. Franklin and Heaney both out of position.
Well read by Carl Hooker there. He laid off his man, who was Isaac Heaney.
Zaharakis. He's got Carlisle wide. He's got Chapman wide. Good movement this. Just beyond his range, Chapman thinks about the handball off. Pops it to Danaher, leading from the square. Got it. And his kicking has improved over the NAB challenge.
That could be an issue early. Looks like Ted Richards has gone to Joe Danaher. There's obviously a massive height difference. How will they respond to that? Obviously need to get some support. I think the taller blokes to get back. Danaher is quite dangerous when he gets on the lead, but he's also can reach up, stretch out and take the marks high above his head.
Been working with former Essendon champion Matthew Lloyd on his goal kicking. Tough angle, but he struck that beautifully.
What about that for a start?
It's a new Danaher.
Right, the first thing we notice is that the kicking looks so much better. And I don't care if it looks exactly like Matty Lloyd. That's not a bad bloke to look like. He's got a beautiful straight run up. He has momentum. He kicks through the ball. I love the weight of the kick from Paul Chapman. He didn't panic. He knew he was outside his range. He just waited. He pulled back quickly. He looked at all the options, and then he saw that big pocket of space that Danaher had to lead into. And if he marks the ball high up out in front of him, good luck trying to spoil at the height he's grabbing the ball.
Can be a big difference to your game, kicking 4-goal-2 rather than 2-goal-4, and that's what Bomber fans are hoping, is to switch that percentage around a little. You can mark it. Hibbert with the clearing kick. Fist from Shaw.
We've got an injury for the Bombers in the middle. I think it's Myers has done his shoulder.
Okay, it's horrendous news.
Slowly walking off from the ground. He can barely move. He's in real pain.
I'm not sure it's back in.
No, it's not. He's in a lot of pain.
That looks very much like Daisy Thomas on Thursday night, guys. That's still out, not great.
Richards tied up. They might stop play here. He's in the hands of trainers. They're trying to stabilise it as they get him off.
Howlett's just down here in front of me right now, just warming up. He'll be coming on pretty quickly.
Ben Howlett, the sub, as Cameron Mooney mentioned. Laidler kicks into the leg of Paul Chapman, but all eyes on Myers as he's coming to the bench now.
At the moment, it looks like Hanbury running with Heppel, so there's a great matchup of a couple of young guns in the competition. That's going to be a beauty.
Tippett doing some ruck work against Bellchambers. Ambrose went in low. Kennedy. Heaney, we're in the 5. Ryan O'Keefe's old number 5.
It's an interesting point you make. Tippett starting off in the ruck. You wouldn't have thought that, but...
And Pike's come onto the ground and he's gone forward.
Heppel doing some ruck work. Gleeson didn't want to pick it up.
I like the move, Brownie. I think they're trying to push their forwards right up at the moment. You can just see them right up in the middle of the ground. And if they're going to kick the ball over the back, even though Tippett's now coming back into the forward line, if you're going to do that, you want those quicker players at the back.
Well, you can see what happens here. He's reaching out for the ball, and it's actually the leg of Tippett that runs through the top of the shoulder of David Myers, and that's what's popped it out of John.
Goods jumped on and had plenty of time as well. Umpire thought a bit about a couple of free kicks either way there.
Interesting, Adam Goods up amongst the play early, playing as a midfielder.
Craig Bird running with Stanton as well.
Chambers flicks it back to Cooney. Nice and Heppel. Carlisle's in the square. Manhandled a little. Grundy did well. Rampy, Shaw. On the back track. Bagley waits for this. Bounce kindly. Goes back, not forward. Early. Hits it up. Danaher's about to fly. Bellchambers also up. Off hands. Cooney gets to spin around the body. And he misses. He's picked 37 to get Adam Cooney to the club over summer. Goods just touches it out.
Certainly Essendon look like they've started with a bit more energy. They're surrounding these stoppages better at the moment and certainly look quicker on the spread, which is, I think, an area where they can beat Sydney today with that leg speed.
Pike into the ruck with Bill Chambers. Nice and Heppel. Cunningham.
Oh, a bit high.
Parker got Gleeson a little high. Umpire let it go. Hanbury, gang tackle, dragged down, good pressure.
Well, the big thing today, boys, is going to be for Essendon. They need to get off to a quick start because it's going to be this bash and crash type of day because of the conditions. We all know that's exactly when you get tired. When your bodies are hitting, come third, fourth quarters, that's when you do get tired.
Well, Sydney have more stoppages than any other team in the competition. That's where guys really wear out, especially with no match fitness.
Rain still falling. Only 2 of the scoreboards working here at ANZ Stadium. Watson, Gleeson. Danaher. We go with the fist from behind. Parker, caught, flicks it up. Stolen back by Merritt. His trickling kick gathered by Grundy. Jack.
He sweeps out the back as well as anyone in the comp, I reckon. Heath Grundy, he's a ripper.
Jack for
Reads
sure.
it so well.
Kieran Jack captaining the Swans again today. No Jared McVeigh, the other co-captain. Calf problem. To the wing. Ooh. Stood under it. Dustin Fletcher might still get a possession. Booker tried to get it up to a teammate through some legs. Here's Heaney. The first gamer for the first kick. Bounces it inside 50. Franklin used his hands and his body. Dyson Heppel gets back. Still Franklin. Toes it off the deck. Just a little wide. Looked ominous.
Gutsy move by Hurley to get off Franklin there and try and get it on the bounce. But I like that. I like the aggressive play.
The voice of Jonathan Brown, part of our commentary today and this year. Jason Dunstall, Cameron Mooney, 10 premierships between the 3 of them. Best in the business. Great to have your company wherever you're watching this around the land. All eyes on the Bombers here. And they've started well. Laidler kick smothered. They're having a crack early, as you would expect. They've been the centre of the football world for quite a while, the Bombers, and they are right now still. Cameron.
Sorry, Dwayne, there. The sub's just been made down here. Myers has just walked past me with a red vest on, so that left shoulder going in to get it assessed now, but the sub's been made with Ben Howlett now coming on.
So they're a man down for the rest of the day. Kearney, little tap was cute. Holds up. Chapman, he did well there, and then not quite well enough. Rowan got a hand on it. Chapman's hurt. Back to Rowan, shuffled it on. Later, not quite ready for it. Goddard, Chapman's up and got the kick inside 50. Danaher, Carlisle, couldn't quite keep his feet. Sure does. One-handed pickup on the move, goes wide. And Pike and Bill Chambers see it out.
That's an ordinary way to start the season, isn't it, for David Myers?
Well, you start back in probably start of November.
Yep.
Jace, and great pre-season. You end up on the sidelines 5 minutes in of round 1. Probably the worst possible scenario you could get yourself into. What a feel for it. Luke Parker, best and fairest winner last year for Sydney. Had a great pre-season. Everyone's looking forward to see how he goes again. Best and fairest winner for Essendon there, Dyson Heppel.
Back into play. Gleeson, good attack. Opens it up to the hooker. Little fumble initially. Merritt, Stanton. Tough one to grab. Rowan does okay. Does brilliantly. Long kick. Jack on the move. Just out in front. Stanton gets there to make the contest. Wrapped him up. Both players wrapped each other up. Still a live ball. Umpires put the whistle away. Tackle late on Belsham. Some sort of a possession there. Not sure what it was. Bagley got it from Merritt. Gives it to Goddard.
Good kick too.
Hibbard's away and with speed. Puts it up for Carlisle. Beaten for it by Grundy. He put it to grass.
It's a bad kick.
Carlisle squeezes it wide. Collier running. Pocket can't get there.
Certainly moving the ball a little bit quicker, Essendon. One of the knocks on them last year, especially the first half of the year, they were far too slow to move the ball across the ground. I think Hurd's come in and emphasised quicker ball movement.
Straight up in the air, sub just on, Ben Howlett.
They became very much a possession side last year, didn't they, Browning? I think it was off the first game against North Melbourne when they racked up 150-odd marks. That was the kind of style they went with for the rest of the year, but no doubt seeing already, even in these conditions, they want to move the ball quick.
Tough conditions, Parker, around the body. Might be a high-scoring contest. They've got a couple of great tall goal-kicking forwards, these two teams. It might not be big numbers kicked there. Dustin Fletcher, can you believe it? Well, plays a 40-year-old from next month onwards.
He's older than you, Jason.
Just about I played on him.
Sure, close to the boundary line, and it rolls out of play. And he'll break the 400-game barrier in round 7 if everything goes to plan. He's third on the all-time AFL VFL games played list behind Kevin Bartlett and Michael Tuck.
He's just dropped back one out here as the loose in defence for the Bombers.
Got Chambers, nice. Goods. Goddard. Other players around a Parker couldn't extract the handball there. Watson couldn't squeeze a kick away.
It's interesting, the top 3 leading games players, it must be that wiry build, is that skinny sort of build that gets them through. They're not carrying as much beef on the bones as us, Jace.
He's suggesting don't do weights. Laidler. Howlett. Oh, he ran into Parker. Collier. Finally the clearance. 2-on-2. Richards makes it a 2-on-3. He was the third. Puts it out of play. Not a massive crowd in here at ANZ Stadium. This Sydney home game. Normally filled the SCG, not as many have come out today. Conditions may have turned a few off, but still it is the first round of the year. Goddard, sidestep was beautiful. Took some time to square it up and just scrapes it in for a score.
Didn't get the result he was looking for, but I'll tell you what was good was the tap from Bell Chambers at the ball up, just to tap it back into space and give the opportunity to a couple of Bomber players.
Cunningham short. Jack. He's got Bird running for him. Used him as a fake. Towers. Kennedy running to the pocket. Good use of the body by Hooker. Good smother from Kennedy. Hard attack, Bagley. Hibbert. Gleeson. Bombers are on at the moment. Chapman.
Needs to hit the target because they've got sweepers back. If you miss, you're playing into the hands of the Swans.
Rampy. Hanbury stripped of it. Dropped it.
Oh. Could have gone either way, that one.
Dan Hanbury gets a break. Pike. Nice and Heppel. Still big packs around every ball after it hits the turf, and umpire Ray Chamberlain to sort it out. Danaher doing some ruck work. In fact, stole it out of the air, gave it to Watson. Kick was touched. Richards left it behind. Slippery ball. Howlett picks it up. Gives to Collier. There's no one in the square, no one to go to. Had to hold it up and go backwards. Goddard. Good step on Good. Still no one to go too long. Had to hold it up. Heads wide. Melcham.
That's the wrong kick.
Yeah.
They've got two sweeping back. They had both Grundy and Rampy deep in the defensive 50, and there were no Bombers there to actually compete. So they're outnumbered 4-2 in that forward 50.
Problem was Joe Danaher was up doing the ruck.
Jake, hands up, Jake.
There's Brendan Goddard there. Really dangerous in this situation. He likes to sit off the stoppage just outside 50.
Kennedy tried the quick-fire handball. Chapman. And again, 15 players around it. Spills clear. Parker to Laidler. And get it outside 50. Early. Did the hard work. Watson. Sizes up his options. Danaher, good option. About to kick it to where he'd like to be. Got it to half forward. Merritt. New number for Zach Merritt this year. Jetters old 7. Hibbert.
Well, they've got everyone behind the footy, the Swans. That's why you'll see the Bombers chipping it around. Just trying to probe, look for an opening, move from side to side around the arc.
Well, they've only got Carlisle down there on his own. Bell-Chambers, I think, might be on the bench. Joe Danaher's up in the ruck at the moment, so that's why they're not real keen to bomb it in there.
Hibbert signalled as if he was going to and did well. Chipped it wide to Gleeson. So there's the bomb. Carlisle might go up. Doesn't get a chance to jump at it. Threw Richards out of the way.
Even though that was a bomb in, at least it was to a 2-on-2. It wasn't to an outnumbered contest. So that's the key for Essendon, is give your forwards a chance. When you do have to go long, you can see right there it's 2-on-2.
Spot on, Jace. I thought it was brilliantly worked by Essendon in the end, wasn't it? They were patient. They didn't panic.
Front spot, Tippett. Harkin did his best to steal it from him. That's a horrendous kick. Goddard. Bombers have the numbers now. Collier looks up. Little 1-2. Through his hand. Slippery ball. Danaher, slippery ball. Bird put his head down.
Yeah,
no
decision.
free.
Good decision. You heard the umpire say he ducked.
Dyson Heppel put his head down. Okay, so he got it. You heard the difference from Ray Chamberlain. One was head down over the ball. The other one was ducked. Carlisle the flyer. Laidler, Shaw. Found space where there was none to Reid. Hibbert, good spoil. Hooker. And he bangs it back, but there's no one home again. Grundy, well, he went the punch. Got away with it, Laidler. To Rampy. Under siege, the Swans, not conceding goals at least. Only the one on the board.
He could have marked that. Grundy would have been a better option.
Jetta told to go. Heaney, good fly. Thought he held it long enough. The first gamer, crowd did too. Hibbert stripped of it by Heaney. Fletcher under pressure. Zaharakis. Laidler's had plenty of it. Towers. Jack. Over the back, Franklin. The Bombers have 4 running for it. And left it behind. Push.
It's been one out a couple of times there, Hurley against Franklin. It's probably the most nervous any defender would be in the comp, wouldn't it?
Problem is, Brady, their smalls are pushing way too far up the ground at the moment. When they are getting it in there, it is Buddy versus 2 or 3 other guys.
Sydney do like to get a lot of numbers around the contest.
Jetta flicks it back. Grundy got his arms free, turned it over. Collier, Howlett. Sidestep was good, and that was a beautiful give off. Collier. Chapman.
He'll have to hold it up again.
Which is not a bad thing. Essendon is certainly going to be lacking match fitness, so they can't play quick all the time. This is what you would call a tempo footy, or certainly moving the ball with a bit of composure.
So now Bell-Chambers wants it long. He's one out against Goods if they can get it over the head of Tippett.
He's up. Bell-Chambers went the fist in the end.
And that's a good contest to kick to. It's a defensive contest close to the boundary. Bell-Chambers on top here in the hit-outs, and certainly Essendon are on top. They've won the last 4 clearances.
About the ticking of time on. Opening term. Bell-Chambers and Tippett. Kearney, Kennedy, Howlett. Boundary line wins again.
Spoke about it pre-game. Bell-Chambers has got a big weight on his shoulders now with no Paddy Ryder.
Yep.
He's going to have to be the dominant ruckman and be supported by Joe Danaher just for little bits of a quarter.
Swans had a horror start to the last season. Lost round 1 to GWS. In fact, they lost their first 2 games last year, the Sydney Swans. And there were question marks over the recruitment of Lance Franklin. Was it the right move? Long contract. Wasn't paying his way. Got it going, got to the grand final. But they want to start with a win in 2015, as do the Bombers. John Longmire. Premiership coach in his own right. Premiership player, of course, for North Melbourne as well.
A bit of a scrappy arm wrestle the first quarter, hasn't it? Tough conditions, a little greasy, a little soft, but neither team able to get much flow into their play at the moment.
Howlett sidestepped into trouble. Shaw cleverly took it out. It's his 100th game as a coach today, John Longmire, in fact.
this certainly plays into Sydney's hands. They're very one-on-one when it comes to stoppages. They rely on that really good tackling pressure and organisation.
Goddard.
That's where Goddard's dangerous.
Touch, Grundy played on under some pressure. Collier made some space, bends it around, and they've got the first two.
Here we are, and that stoppage was set up by, obviously, the inside players winning the ball, but Brendan Goddard's been getting himself really dangerous, just off the contrast. Look at him there, just on his own. He needs to be manned up.
Funnily enough, it rarely happens though, Brownie. He tends to play that role all the time, and opposition teams always find someone else to tag.
Exactly right. He's on his free, and he's probably one of the best kickers in the competition.
And he is the leading possession getter on the ground, Brendan Goddard, with 8 touches.
Just happily running around on his own. Got the orange boots on.
Bill Chambers with the knockdown. Almost a free to Cooney. Played for it. Umpire didn't give it to him. Merritt. Good, steals it back. Fantastic attack on the ball. Wet weather footy. Straight line footy. Dyson Heppel can't break away with it. Hanbury bumped on his kick attempt. Free kick, Melksham pushing the back.
It's interesting with that matchup at the moment. Jeddah's the one that's lining up on Goddard, and as soon as the ball comes into a contest, Goddard just floats at the back, and Jeddah just keeps ball watching and just sticks around the ball.
Keeps it low.
What a
Carlisle
pass.
lace out off his chest. It bounces.
You can't let those go. It's too good a kick.
Shaw. Cunningham. Bagley to shut him down. Good punch away.
Interesting there. A good point you made, Moons. Lewis Jeddah on Goddard. Sydney I thought they were disappointing grand final. They had poor accountabilities out on the wing, where Smith and Hill got away for Hawthorn.
He'll have to come off soon, you'd think, Heath Grundy.
You're not going to be able to hide that for too much longer, Dwayne.
Melksham.
It's a face full of blood. His face is red. There it is. Ray Chamberlain spotted him. Pretty hard to miss. Like a red goatee, isn't it? Just a little bit of a blood nose, doesn't look too bad.
The Rocky Balboa movies were on TV yesterday too. There was a bit of that. Clubber Lang, Ivan Drago, a couple of classics.
No question either, Jace. If we go back through the footage, I reckon that'd be a nice little falcon on the end of the nose at some stage.
Yeah.
Shaw. Richards. 4 minutes from quarter time, and they're still yet to kick a goal, the Swans.
Yeah, they'll be very pleased. James Hird and the Essendon coaches box has been a great start to the game.
Mike Pike free. Can they get to quarter time and hold the Swans goalless? Franklin's been playing forward, deep forward, and he's in the goal square now. So Reid comes up, can't mark it. Chapman. Good attack from both players. Both went low. Cooney and Hanbury no free. Kennedy hassled. Bill Chambers knew the traffic was coming. Dropped it, held too long.
He's a bit winded down here, Cooney, after that big hit for he and Hanbury.
Oh, yeah, he's going to come off, I think, for a quick spell.
Fletcher bangs a bomb to half forward. Big fly, Shaw knocked it down. Howlett could have taken possession. Jack picks it up. Heaney, little fumble, good enough to get away with it. Parker all the way back to Kennedy.
Good pressure.
Absolutely. Nearly the turnover. Is the turnover. Watson through some legs. Tried to get it to Ambrose. Shaw was there. Goddard, good attack. And it's out of play. They'll take that, the Bombers.
Gee, that was good pressure from the Bombers all around. They've been hard at the contest. Very, very hard. And just to see the pressure forcing them to continually hand pass back. And then we saw the scuffed kick from Josh Kennedy under pressure.
Pike edged out his man Bell Chambers. Dyson Heppel. Zaharakis through some hands.
I don't think Bell Chambers was expecting that.
Hot potato right now. Bell Chambers. Dyson Heppel. Does it stay in the field of play? No.
You made a good point there before, Sydney. Sorry, here's the Cooney one. Oh, good hit. Both going on the footy.
It's just side to side, but you cop that in the bottom of the ribs and it takes the wind out, doesn't it?
Smith to Kennedy.
He was just down here getting his shoulder checked as well, guys. They're just precautionary, I think. But this is what I love about my job down here. The sound of that impact in front of me was as good as anything I've heard on a football field.
Long down the line. Good contest. Hibbert and Pike. Ball in. Down to 2:24.
Here we go. It's going to be interesting now. Sydney wouldn't be happy. Essendon have beaten them 12-4 in the clearances this quarter, which is so un-Sydney-like. Just can't get the hands of the ball. It's been part of the ruck dominance from Bell Chambers.
Good palm down. Pike to Hanbury. Gleeson. Got the rise on good. Sand landed like a cat. Dyson Heppel might get it back again. 3 Swans around him. Jumped on. Fletcher clever.
Another area Sydney wouldn't be happy with is they've had more handballs than kicks at the moment, which is a bad ratio. Most clubs want to be a lot higher kick ratio than that.
2 ruckmen tie up. Crowd a little perplexed by this. They're not enjoying it. Haven't had anything to cheer yet. Swans fans. A few Bomber fans have made the trip up though. They're enjoying it. They know their team needs to start well. They might run out of fitness at the end. So many of these players with no NAB challenge games at all. Parker.
See what the Bombers have done. They've starved Sydney's forward line of possessions. We've seen Lance Franklin's had the 1 kick. Kurt Tippett's had 1 kick. Sam Reid hasn't touched the ball. Adam Goods has had 2 hand passes.
Reid can't pluck this one.
So they've kept all those potential match winners out of the game.
They're the ones you'd like to see Sam Reid mark. He's against Hibbard. A lot difference in height.
Another few demons as well. A 3-kick, 2-mark grand final against the Hawks. Wasn't his best game either. Kennedy. Towers edged out of it. Zaharakis. A 1-2 with Watson. Clearing kick. Danaher up on the wing. Punched away by Richards. Howler wouldn't have expected to come on this early. Myers done for the afternoon if you just joined us. Kearney. Open forward line. Wide. Collier. Touches it out. 1 minute left and Sydney still goalless.
100 possessions to 73 for Essendon, so they had a lot more of the footy.
Clearance here could be critical. Pike front spot. Dyson Heppel, it is critical. Watson, he goes for home. This will skid straight. They've got 3.
Well, I dare say this is a good way to take the crowd out of it. There's plenty of Bombers faithful that have come up here, but the majority of the stadium is a little bit nonplussed at this start from the Swans. The Bombers have been very efficient. They've been harder around the contest. They've played the game pretty much in their half of the ground, and they've made the most of some half opportunities. Terrific work here. Good hands from Heppel, and that's a great finish from Joe Watson. They are enjoying the freedom of just being able to go out and play and not worry about anything at the moment, the Bombers.
Spoke well during the week. Captained the team extremely well under pressure and has captained them well here in the opening term. Hanbury, maybe one last late roll of the dice here for the Swans. Reid had it, flicked out past Franklin. Outside of the boot from Hurley, and they'll take out of bounds right now. 39 seconds left to quarter time. They lead by 20.
You talk about Watson speaking well. There are also some strong words from Jared McVeigh, one of the co-captains of the Swans during the week. He said the grand final performance burned at them throughout pre-season. He said they were sick of having poor starts to the season. They lost to GWS in round 1 last year. They wanted to come out and make a statement. Haven't made much of a statement to start with, so plenty at stake for the Swans as well.
Reid caught in the middle of that pack. Seconds continue to roll. Down to 20. Hanbury jumps in. They jump on him. Stanton. Jetta's direction. Well hassled by Merritt. Slick hands. Howlett's away. Open forward line. No one to go too long. Hands it off. Cooney. No one in the square. Bumped up to the kick.
Downfield. It'll be a shot for goal. He called it downfield. So that'll be where the ball goes out of bounds, right in the pocket.
Can it be downfield if it's out of bounds on the full?
Where it goes out.
Where it goes out.
Yep.
So that's late. It's downfield, and this will be a shot virtually right on the siren. See, Adam Cooney didn't like it, and he's telling
taking it back.
Lewis Jetta all about it. Well, that's strange because the first it must have gone out in the full then, did it?
It was late.
It did, yeah. Went out in the full.
So I thought it bounced before the boundary line. because the field umpire definitely said downfield.
Okay.
Adam Cooney's had a good first quarter as well. Not a bad pickup. He's one of those crew of, I suppose, veterans.
Can he kick a barrel?
Big torp. He's going to have to go for it. Let's hope it doesn't come off the side of the boot and go out the
He's
floor.
holding it for the torp. Gets a bit on it.
That's respect.
Starting to sail.
He's got it.
Can you believe it? Welcome to your new club, Adam Cooney. Vintage Cooney, Brownlow Cooney, and the Bombers are hot. 27-1 at quarter time. James Hird, a couple of years from hell, and this is heaven. Essendon at quarter time, 4-3-27. The Swans are behind. Holding it for the top. Gets a bit on it. That's respect. Starting to sail. Can you believe it? Welcome to your new club, Adam Cooney. Vintage Cooney, Brownlow Cooney, and the Bombers are hot. 20. Fairy tale stuff, that. And let's start the campaign. Bring back the torp. We can all say, well, we kind of expected the Bombers to come out and start hot, but it is an amazing start, really. 26 points up at quarter time.
It is, but they needed to do it. Momentum's a funny thing. You've got to get your confidence up early. They've been bashed around for so long. This is the best possible start for the Bombers because it's given them some belief all of a sudden that the weight of the world's off the shoulders. They can play footy and they can play some good footy, Brownie.
Well, to have the weight of that world on your shoulders for 2.5 years, it must be unbelievable out there today. And unfortunately for Sydney, they've carried on from the grand final.
Very meek.
They've been meek. So disappointing all around the field.
It's John Longmire.
Yep, he's trying to fire his troops up because they did come out, as you said, Jared McVeigh came out during the week and said how much the grand final burned in him and drove him through pre-season.
Wow.
This has been a disappointing return.
You don't see like John Longmire like that too often.
Cameron Mooney.
Yeah, gents, well, you're spot on. Horse is going absolutely nuts at his boys. They've been down 7 in contested possession, 8 in clearances. They're getting absolutely beaten up around the ball, and therefore they can't get the ball inside 50. Essendon, 18 inside 50s to 4. Unbelievable start. Be very proud of them, James Hird.
Okay, deep breath. Second term underway. Can it continue? Adam Cooney tried to slip it out quickly. Ambrose couldn't get it out either. There's the big packs that we've seen so far in this game. Wet conditions, still drizzling. John Longmire, head in hands a couple of times. 100th game as a coach, and this one he's going to have a come from behind inspirational performance for them to get up. Jetta, little 1-2 with Parker. Lance Franklin gets there, can't grasp it.
Hurley started right on Franklin. He's at least tried to attack the footy, but he hasn't had much opportunity, of course. But in the one-on-ones, he's looked good.
And this crowd is stunned. It can be a bit of an atmosphere-free zone, ANZ Stadium, when it's only a quarter full anyway, but right now they are silent. They've had nothing to cheer, and now they're worried. Collier. The second kick will count. Richards, Danaher. Rampy. Shaw. Players behind the ball. Smith. A wobbler. Tough one to mark. Tippett's under it. Good spoil. Bird. Goods. Towers. Goal square. Mike Pike's down there with Fletcher. Stays in. And Dustin Fletcher stays on it. Hurley. Turnover. Reid. Let him off there, Reid.
Not sure what he was thinking. Michael Hurley needed to go on the boot, needed to go long up the line. So again, it's Tippett starting in the ruck and Pike starting forward.
And if you have just joined us, Myers is done for the day. David Myers taken off with a shoulder injury, so Ben Howlett, their sub, already on for the Sydney Swans. Jake Lloyd, their sub, yet to be used. Ball out of play. Free kick, Bombers.
Oh, a bit going on between Tippett and Gleeson was having, no, it was Melksham, I should say, was having a go. And there's a little bit of a size differential there, but he won't take a backward step, Jakey Melksham.
A little bit of pinball. Just started to heat up again. Some spice in this now. Tippett used his body well, couldn't get a palm on the ball. Rowan, kick smothered. He's got a few demons as well. Gary Rowan, who was one of those players with a very lean grand final performance, just 7 possessions in the grand final.
Where does he play, forward or back? That's going to be the interesting one for the Swans to find out.
Make a good point, Brownie, because no one really has had such an interrupted career.
Yeah. He's just lacked a little bit of composure with his foot skills coming off half-back, and Sydney certainly need that. They've lost Nick Malcheski. It's where they get a lot of their attack from.
Gee, that's a good kick back into the corridor.
Bill Chambers gives it off. Hibberd. There's the barrel, the big bomb. Torpedo forward. Carlisle edged out of it well by Richards.
Clever.
Experience, the ex-bomber, of course, Ted Richards. He's had an outstanding career since departing.
Franklin's come right up the ground just to get a touch of the footy because he's been starved of the ball. I mean, this is just his second possession.
Jack. He's the captain today. He's going to have to inspire them somehow. Keeps it low. Goods. Wobbles one. Hooker. Beelined it well. Throw. Free kick. Hooker. The scoop up, according to Ray Chamberlain.
This is a strange kick going forward from Adam Goods, swinging onto his left foot. And it really didn't go anywhere near any of his teammates.
Richards again. Fist wins out.
I just can't speak highly enough about how aggressive they've been around the contest, the Bombers. That's where they are clearly showing up the Swans at the first quarter and a bit of this match.
Playing unencumbered for the first time in a couple of years, Essendon. The weight of the world off their shoulders finally. Adam Goods dances his way to 35.
Missed. Certainly been a lot more aggressive around the contest. Their starting points at ball ups and boundary throw-ins around the ground, Essendon's have been very strong there. They're really being physical against their men, and that's something that Sydney's been renowned for a long period of time.
So Fletcher long. Ambrose has to go at it. Laidler with the crumb. Grundy got his arms free. Laidler. Mike Pike. Hanbury. Bird, side of the boot. Goods has to go and get it. He was slow off the mark. Hibberd well out in front. Keeps it out in front. Goods can't shut him down. Here he's gone, Adam Goods.
Yeah, well, he just had that burst a moment ago where he was trying to sprint away and kick a goal, and he hasn't quite recovered from it.
Zaharakis back to Chapman. Drives it long. Carlisle's down there. Off hands, hits the deck. Cooney again off the deck. Sensational start, Essendon.
Well, you reckon he's not making every post winner at the moment, Adam Cooney? He just read it beautifully. It was 2-on-2, but he was the small, and he let Carlisle go up against the 2 tall Essendon players. You'll watch the long kick come in. You can see Cooney and his opponent, which is Gary Rowan, and then Carlisle's the other one with Ted Richards. So the long ball comes in, the 2 Sydney players fly, and it was Cooney who stayed on his feet. Now he's kicked a miracle torpedo from 60 on the siren. Now he kicks one from out of mid-air. He's having a ball at the moment.
219 games for the Western Bulldogs. Only had to use pick 37 on him, mainly because he turns 30 this year, but an outstanding start for him. Laidler. From half-back to half-forward. Franklin, one hand. Hurley. The collect did the hard work again and lets it slip. Stanton, that'll be on the full. Free kick.
They're finding a lot of it at the moment. Brent Sandby's got Craig Bird as opponent, who is very, very good at reducing a player's impact.
Just not going right at the moment. Everything they try, not coming off.
Interesting, we just talked about Cooney kicking that goal before. They've brought in Paul Chapman, who's 33, Brendan Goddard, 29, and Adam Cooney, 29. That signals that the Bombers are trying to win one soon. Win a flag, that is.
We don't know how good they're going to be this year, really.
If they play like this, they'll be good. But they've got to do it for 4 quarters. That's what we want to see. been an outstanding start.
To see how they're going to play for the whole year with that overwhelming burden off their shoulders.
They did play finals last year with that burden.
That's true. And they've been outstanding with a very, very limited preparation for most of these players. They did beat Melbourne in a NAB Challenge game with a quarter of their real team. And that was a signal, perhaps. The competition is standing up to have a look at this Essendon lineup right now. Every football watcher checking out to see which Bombers we're going to get in 2015. And right now, the early episode says you better watch the whole series. 33-2. They've kept the Sydney Swans goalless to the 9-minute mark of the second term.
And to be brutally honest, it's hard to see where the first goal is coming from.
And they're not playing a team that finished down the end of the ladder last year. They're playing last year's grand finalist, who's got a few demons of their own to exercise today. Pike ties up with Bellchambers. Down to Melksham. Again they march forward. Chapman is forward. Thumped away. Scoots away. Nick Smith, All-Australian defender, right with him.
I like their versatility all around the board. Unknown, not unknowns, but lesser known players like Collier, Zahar Arks is well known, but Ben Howlett doesn't get a lot of credit.
Oh, Bellchambers thrown out of it by Pike, and they could kick the first 6.
Now this is starting to get a little desperate for Sydney right now, because the Bombers are threatening to take this game away from them in the first half here. Now Bellchambers can go back and kick straight, and he is normally a very good kick of the footy, Tom Bellchambers.
It's an area of improvement. If Essendon are going to go to top 4, they need more big goal kickers.
Just across the
face. They like Bellchambers to be able to do more of that.
When he kicked that, he was leaning left.
He
you
was.
see his head, his whole body was leaning. He certainly made the most of the contact. It was a little nudge in the ruck.
Ball is a little bit wet, so it's going to be harder for accuracy today.
Poor kick.
Shaw made it look okay in the end, outside of the boot to keep it in play. Fist down to Jack. Tried to part the seas, jumped on a bit as he tried to get between two players. Hanbury on the left, Franklin one-on-one. Hurley, Franklin, Hurley. Now that's the safe option.
Well, that's clever, because it is a greasy ball. Now he's in position to mark, but if he doesn't mark it, that ball's in a dangerous position in the corridor. He said, "No, we'll go the two-fisted punch to the boundary and reset." He's had a really good start, Michael Hurley.
Well, if anybody can get them back into it, it's Lance Franklin. If he catches fire. Parker doesn't work back enough.
But that's also a sign of the pressure. He actually had a metre or two of space then, Luke Parker, but he threw it on the boot without even looking around, because it's that perceived pressure, because Essendon's been so good around the contest. They lead the clearances 22-14, the Bombers. And even when Sydney have won those clearances, they've been under pressure, and most of the time it's just been a quick throw it on your boot kick.
Brent Stanton. It's about a pack of 20 out there. Carlisle tries to pluck it from the back. Watson buffeted out of it. Umpire circling. Oh, he's paid ball.
Dragged it in.
Umpires today, Jeff Dalglish, Ray Chamberlain around that one.
Boys, it's just the hard work that they're doing around these stoppages. I mean, Essendon have got 13 players with at least one clearance, but Essendon have only got 7. So they're just helping each other out unbelievably around the ball, and their attack is just brilliant on the football.
So one other issue we've seen that's been very good from the Bombers, and we just saw it there. They've been very good at competing in the air 1 against 2 and making sure that they at least halve the contest. And that time it was Joe Danaher. He had his opponent plus a player dropping in front of him, made sure he got into the contest, and the ball spilled over for a throw-in.
Hits the deck. Hard ball to win at the moment. Bagley tried to flick it up to Gleeson. Gleeson between his legs. Hanbury. Heaney. Parker. Fletcher. Makes it somebody else's problem.
So, Brownie, it becomes really interesting. We saw John Longmire going off at quarter time. Things haven't really changed much yet. So he's starting to think, well, what's his next option?
Well, in this day and age too, the coaches don't give out many sprays anymore. Times have changed, so they're worried how guys will respond. He'd be very disappointed.
Why do they save their sprays, Brownie?
Well, I tell you what, they try and save it for more impact.
Yeah.
You know, 10, 15 years ago, probably back 40 years ago when you used to play, Jason.
Oh, did you hear 40 now? Look at
They probably
this.
dished out a few more cooks.
Hasn't taken him long to settle in Jonathan Brown. That's three-time premiership superstar Jonathan Brown, by the way. Dyson Heppel gathers at half-back. Short pass. Howland. Grundy should get there. Sat nicely for him. Ted Richards just got a kick away in time. Towers. 3 bombers around him. Caught, dumped, went for the line, got it, and got away with it.
One of the Essendon guys that's symbolic of the pressure, Patrick Ambrose, who's playing as a forward, has already had 7 tackles. You would have thought he's in the side to kick goals, but doing the defensive stuff.
Such a big role these days, that defensive forward, the tackling forward.
And you keep chalking up those numbers, you'll keep getting a game too.
Here he is, Patrick Ambrose. Moves from 47 to 29 this year, so a new number for him if you don't recognise him. Parker goes to Goods. Franklin's on the move. Hurley was right with him. He was ignored. He goes to Bird inside 50. Crutch. Fletcher's long arm got there. Heaney sprints clear on the left. Sends a goal with this, skids across the face. And no luck at all. Sydney's way at the moment. 18 years of age on debut, Isaac Heaney.
Just talking about sprays before, Dwayne, and Lee Matthews stripped the paint off the walls a few times all over my career.
Keeps it low. Gee, Heaney, great hands. Held it long enough.
Yeah, he's only a mid-sized player. You can't play on from a mark. He's only a mid-sized player, but he takes a very good mark for his size. I just saw him miss with a snap moments ago.
From the Swans Academy. Local product.
Oh, now this is interesting. Yeah, Nick Davis is the Sydney runner. He just walked past and pointed and said, have a shot. So it must be a pretty good penetrating kick as well.
For his first goal on AFL footy.
You could see he ran way out to the right, looking for the extra distance, trying to hook it around the body.
Big ask with the wet ball as well, Jazz.
Could have gone the barrel like we saw Adam Cooney do.
Grundy from 4 deep. Ambrose went up. Rampy. Parker couldn't bring it down. Hurley to Chapman.
Oh, and he gets one too, Chappie.
Yeah, cheap one.
Doesn't mind getting himself in position to get the free kick if he doesn't think the possession's forthcoming. But he did it well.
20 games in his first season at the Bombers last year. Paul Chapman. Dyson Heppel to Hurley. To Hooker, although Merritt might have to mop this up. And slips Gary Rowan. The 1-2 works well. Merritt, low ball. Zaharakis, good collect on the run. Cooney.
It was a great pickup.
Ambrose under this one. Good attack and good collect by Gleeson. Smith's attack, superb. Gleeson's tackle just as good. Cameron Mooney.
Look, Dwayne, they're trying to get back in. I know it's not working for them at the moment, City, but they are trying with the contested possession this quarter, 22-14. So they are getting a lot harder around the ball, but it's just not working for them at the moment. Essendon's pressure, they're absorbing it. The running that they're doing down here for a bunch of guys that haven't played a game this year is just incredible seeing it from ground level.
That fumble across the boundary line there by Harry Cunningham was indicative of the Swans, though. We know the ball's a little bit wet, but Sydney just seem to be very fumbly compared to Essendon.
Bit of deja vu from just over the road from here. Round 1 last year. Lightning, rain, horrendous conditions, beaten by GWS round 1. Dyson Heppel to full forward, off hands. Grundy under some pressure. That'll stay alive. Tied off the deck by Collier. Stanton. Oh, and the handball back. They just weren't on the same page.
It's interesting you say that, Dwayne, because you don't want to make a habit or get a reputation of losing games consistently in these conditions. Because Brownie, then people start to think they're not hard at it. They're not really hard at the contest and the stoppages when you've got a greasy ground ball most of the time.
Well, we have seen them beaten comprehensively in a couple of big finals the last couple of years.
Good. It's the 1-2 at Parker. It opens up now. Just missed Cunningham. Bang. Caught by Melksham.
Another fumble.
Gee, I'm not sure what Stanton was thinking. Jetta was waiting for it. He goes long. Franklin's in a good spot. One. Not the second. Hurley beats him again. And got the kick away. Jetta. They can reload. Takes on Zaharakis. Pressure on the kick. Bird.
Gee, it was a good kick too in the end. And Craig Bird has a habit of popping up and kicking goals when they need them, Sydney. Well, they've never needed one more because they haven't looked like kicking one to this point in time. They just need a settler to get themselves into the contest.
He's a well-respected tagger, Craig Bird. He does go forward, which is, it just keeps, the good players, good midfielders that he plays on, just keeps them a bit accountable. Geez, you would never have thought this. 8 minutes to go in the second quarter. Sydney still no goal with the Bondi billionaires in there.
To break the drought. Looks okay. Got the carry. Just scrapes it home. It took a quarter and 18 minutes to get there first.
Well, he's a very, very experienced player, Craig Bird. They needed it, but Essendon have started to recruit some experienced players of their own, Brownie. You spoke earlier about wanting to recruit for the now. They have got some very interesting players into the mix. There's Adam Cooney. He's one of those. He's kicked a couple of goals to this point in time. Paul Chapman's another one. We know that he can be a very, very handy player as well. And they figure that they're right here. Well, BJ is going to be a quality player, isn't he?
From the ball up. Can the Swans still back the momentum heading to half-time? And how much fitness and conditioning have the Bombers got? Watson goes hard. Rowan steals it back, gives it to Kennedy. Hibbert looks around. He's got support. Goddard's there. Gee, dangerous kick. Horrendous kick.
Opened him up.
Jack's got no one to go too long. Cunningham, Goods. Hands it up just in time. Parker, run down, Merritt.
That was a terrific chase, Dwayne. Zach Merritt has run 100 metres to lay that tackle.
Hooker. Watson. Couple of steadying possessions now. Hold it up. Get the breath back. Dyson Heppel.
Needed good hands. And they were.
Stanton.
Well, we've got players free here.
Collier's on the run, and so's Goddard, and he splits the middle. Reid was in the middle of them both.
Poor kick. Certain goal there.
Franklin. Which one-on-one does he want? He's got one-on-ones everywhere ahead. He took on Goddard and lost. Outstanding. Collier.
He's missed him as well.
Chapman keeps it alive for a split second.
Tough day for the key forwards of the Swans. Reid's had 4, Franklin's had 2 possessions, and Kurt Tippett 1.
You talk about big moments in this game. Merritt, big chase down and tackling. Goddard, one-on-one with Buddy, just brought him down to ground. Unbelievable work from Essendon at the moment.
Back into play. Down to Chapman. Caught. Zaharakis caught. Desperation. Kurt Tippett gets it up. Adam Cooney. Paul Chapman. Full forward. Danaher. Couple to beat. Almost beat them both. Jack. Richards untidy.
Pressure.
Jetta. Spins out of trouble. Lost it. Under pressure again. Tries to squeeze it away. Bombers have numbers here. Bagley. Sidestep was good. Carlisle. Danaher. Carlisle up. And Richards' fist wins out yet again, as it has so often times in his career, as the rain continues to pump down here.
Been impressed by Carlisle and Joe Danaher. Their contest, they might have taken a lot of marks down forward, but they're really making the Swans defenders earn it.
Short throw in. Tip it down to Jack. Pike. Fletcher. Handball missed the target. Pike tried to go off the carpet.
That's all you can ask for when you're bombing into the forward line, isn't it, Jace? You just hope your big forwards can crash the pack.
Bring it to ground and then hopefully bring the other players into the game. But they look a long way off it at the moment, the Swans.
Cunningham. Hanbury. Bombers have put an extra one back. Pike nearly beat 3 players there. Fletcher. Gleeson. Kennedy half held. Wrapped up. Umpire deemed that was an okay disposal. Zaharakis. Fletcher. touch ball. Back towards attacking 50 and Gleeson traps it nicely. Drop punt in Carlisle's direction. Good contest. Back of the pack. Rampy. Chapman stalking him. Takes it to the line.
But see, that one again, we've seen it every time, Brownie. Carlisle, Danaher, whenever it's gone forward, the big blokes made a contest, knocked a couple of players over and held the ball there for the others to get involved rather than a quick rebound when you're outnumbered.
So Ambrose doing some ruck work now against Tippett. Height advantage, so he lost. Kieran Jack, play on the call. Pike drops it. Crowd wanted the mark to be paid. Zaharakis hammers it long, and they can reset from a ball in. 34 plays 9. 5-4 to 1-3. 23 minutes into the second term, and the crowd starting to get a little restless.
Both sides, both starting to look a bit tired now, of course. Heavy conditions.
Jetta. Parker. Rampy. Cunningham. Slippery ball. Hanbury. Parker. Jack. Good flat hands there. And now Shaw. No one's in the square. Goes short. Goods. Overcooked it. Good spot to hit though. Gleeson rolled in the tackle. Heaney's got him. No Pryor.
Well, he made a good effort on the ground. He gave the umpire an out.
He did. He would have been stiff if he got done.
It wasn't the right option from Shaw. He had Towers running back towards goal, but you tend to kick to those players you're used to that normally perform. He saw Goods. He went for him.
Kennedy tried to squeeze a kick away.
Jackson.
20 players around this ball. That touched hands and Goddard content to see it through.
Kieran Jack just trying to free himself up around those forward contests. See if we can get a free tap from the ruckman and kick a goal to no avail there.
Bomber fans watching this at home, you got the best seat in the house with us. Hope you're enjoying this. Carlisle goes up. A lot of Bomber fans have made the journey. Carlisle towards Danaher.
Good contest.
Yeah, good again, one against two.
And stripped. Shaw. Grundy. Untidy. Rampy. Get away with it. Almost Hibbert. Good float. Cunningham. Parker. Jack. Pokes it wide. Contest against Towers. That was good. And free kick to Bagley.
Well
good second effort.
Oh, no, he's played taking the legs out.
Oh, okay.
But he was actually bending down with his hands to pick up the ball.
Oh, that was a bad decision.
Gee, that's unlucky.
Touch. Play on. Not 15. They get away with it. Hammered by Jack. And way wide.
It looked like he was just, well, I guess he dived for it, half dived for it, but he actually got his hands on it, didn't he?
They're encouraging players to keep their feet. He does that, keeps his feet. He's okay.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Parker, slick hands, Laidler. Bombers have the numbers back. Gleeson's told to go. Big pluck that over the top.
Great grab.
Kurt Tippett.
See, they needed something like that. It's taken a special mark by Kurt Tippett, and now he needs to back it up with a good kick.
That's what he's here for. We know he's played a bit of time in the ruck today, but his main worth is going to be down in the forward line, taking the big contested marks like that.
Just took off a shin guard that he was wearing when he was rucking. Yeah. Threw it to Dan Hanbury. He said, what do you want me to do with it? He's chucked it towards a trainer.
He's a tough proposition when he gets that front spot and launch himself up at the ball with outstretched hands.
And he can kick straight. 34 goals, 17 last year from 14 games. Post.
Never kicking that after you said that, Dwayne. As he's running in, you say he can kick straight. They can't afford to waste opportunities because they're not creating enough good ones.
Driving kick in the Bell Chambers direction. He's got front spot. Went the chest mark option. Thump clear. Heaney. Gary Rowan. Tippett. Goal square. Manhandled a bit. Hooker content to body him up.
Bombers just got to be careful here. There's a lot of Bombers players starting to put their hands on their knees. Obviously, understandably, getting quite tired with no match practice. These are the situations deep in an opposition forward line where they'll try and create. Sydney will be dangerous here.
2 minutes left and they've got a big break. Can they hang on? Watson caught. Howlett.
Well done by the Bombers.
Zaharakis, and they are a man down. Of course, Myers off for the day. They've already jumped with their sub. The Bombers, if you just joined us, Grundy inside 2 minutes to half time. Not sure about the option. Went for Hanbury.
A tough place to kick it. You really want to bring that back into the corridor, try and keep the ball alive deep in your forward line.
Just keep an eye on Buddy here. He'll start on the defensive side of the stoppage and try and run straight through the contest. Get on the move. Here he goes.
There he is, almost on cue for you. Collier. Bird flicks it up. Off the deck. Heaney. Just missed.
The reason Buddy's trying to do that, he's trying to drag some defenders, drag the opposition's attention to him, and hopefully free up a Sydney midfielder or a small forward to pop up on his own and kick a goal from that stoppage.
And I think Hurley played it right. He went with him.
Yeah,
Often the defender will sit on the defensive side and try and pick him up coming through, but then he might just whack around the back of the contest and he'll ping it from 50 or 55 and you won't even get close to stopping him.
Snapping it over his shoulder.
Yep.
Rowan tried to keep it in. Does. Towers. Ambrose. Merritt tried to go through Kennedy's legs. Didn't work. Again, 15 players around it and couldn't come out. 1 minute and 8 seconds left.
This is where they need good leadership, and they've got Joe Watson around the ball. Paul Chapman just got to grind it out. Zaharakis is there. Grind it out for 1 minute and 8 seconds till half time.
Bill Chambers half thrown out of it. Parker plays for the free, doesn't get it. Pike goes off the deck. Gleeson likewise. Slippery ball. Safe option.
Got most of their numbers back in Sydney's forward 50 now, the Bombers have. Trying to protect this lead.
Pike works his way to the front. Bill Chambers right with him. Howlett gone. Hanbury. Parker to try and find some space. Goddard stood his ground.
Good attack.
Chapman thought he had it. Kennedy thought he had a target. Melksham wobbles it towards the line. Measured that pretty well without making it look deliberate, but that's what he was after.
Yeah, it was a good kick.
And got it out there.
What's interesting, Brownie, is when we have a look at some of the stats, the clearances have squared up. Essendon dominated them in the first term. The inside 50s are all square now. But Sydney are no clearer to actually finding a smooth way through to scoring than they were in the first term. Essendon's defence has been outstanding.
Howlett, well, he picked it and didn't want to get rid of it necessarily. Goes back and gets it, and keeps it in front. Beelines it, toes it. Swans with 4 players standing behind the ball. Richards smothered. Howlett, 4th effort in that string of play. Watson scrambles it forward. Out of play is a massive win.
Oh, huge. Huge.
Great
That
call,
means
Dwayne.
they won't concede a goal at least.
Great call with Howard, Dwayne. He's just coming off there, as you can see, after that 3 or 4. Now he's been called to come back on. 3 or 4 massive efforts. Unbelievable stuff.
So they won't concede one in 13 seconds, you wouldn't think. But can they steal another? Ball back into play. Melksham caught but dumped. Flick down.
There's a free kick. It's a throw. It's going to the Bombers.
It's going Essendon's way for a throw. And this a replica of quarter time. Cooney kicked a goal at quarter time, and this would be inspirational heading to half time from Collier. The seconds will tick as he walks in here. Here they go.
Most improved player for Essendon last year. Really come on in the second half of the year. Revived his career.
No need to tell you how important this kick is. Hits the post.
Wow.
It's a shame.
But Bomber fans would have to be proud of what they've seen in the opening half here at ANZ Stadium in Sydney. Limited preparation. 26 months of hell over, and the Bombers are back with a fresh start and a brilliant start. 5-5-35 to Sydney. 1-7-13. Half-time here at ANZ. Back to you, Sandy.
Thank you, Dwayne. Yes, the margin 22 points, and it so easily could have been 27 had Collier been successful. But a great start by the Bombers. The question now is, can they hang on? Still lots more to come. We're going to head to the Gabba very shortly, speaking with Justin Lepich. But of course, Demon fans are still celebrating. Their side was successful today at the MCG in front of 27,000 fans, winning by 26 points, and the boys were very happy.
With Sportsbet for rounds 1 to 8 in the AFL, place a head-to-head bet, and if your team lead at any break but lose, cash back up to $100. Sportsbet. Download us.
What up? Chris, Telstra.
Keep going, you've got a little bit more to go. Keep going.
When you drop into a store, call, or we visit you, you'll get the name of the person you spoke with.
Hi, I'm Sophia.
Thank you.
Just in case you need more help.
Hi, Chris.
Like a pillow?
Yeah, thanks.
I'm Ted from Telstra, I'm here to help.
Easter weekend, everyone's got some time off. They've got some spare time. They can get their DIY projects done and they can come down to Bunnings and get all the products they need to do the job.
Marquee trestle table, only $37.49. Makita angle grinder, $85. 80 litre steel tray wheelbarrow, $99. Outdoor cafe blind, $54. 2 litre sea salt twin pack, just $13.28.
Yeah, the 4-day weekend's a great time to get things done. Lowest prices are just the beginning.
Save on 200-gram tubs of delicious Aussie-made Coles dips. Down to just $2 each every day.
It's just yum.
Save every day at Coles.
The staff at this beautiful resort will stay with you forever. Especially if you don't leave. You got it booking right. Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
It's Harvey Norman's. Get ready to save this Easter at Harvey Norman. Plus, we're offering a massive 60 months interest-free store-wide. Up to 20% off clearance computers, laptops, desktops, all-in-ones and tablets. Buy a Hisense TV and get 10% of the price as a gift card. Hot price Samsung French door fridge with bonus delivery and removal. Up to 30% off clearance lounges, dining, home office and occasional furniture. Upsize and save on selected mattresses and ensembles. With 60 months interest-free store-wide. It's Harvey Norman's. Ends Monday.
Look out! With Sportsbet for rounds 1 to 8 in the AFL, place a head-to-head bet, and if your team lead at any break but lose, cash back up to $100. Sportsbet. Download us.
7 o'clock tonight. As the final series looms large, the Sky Blues take on Adelaide United.
The two Spaniards combine!
Then Sunday, live from 5, can Wellington hold their own against finals contenders Melbourne Victory?
Incredible 2-2!
Every game live in HD on Fox Sports.
Deadline Gallipoli begins Sunday, April 19, 8:30 on Showcase.
27 seconds left for the all-time record. You betcha, Jonathan Brown. He's got
10. Yes, the Bombers shot out of the blocks and now the Sydney Swans find themselves playing catch-up football and they've got the job ahead of them as we check the score at half-time. The margin is 22 points. 1 goal, 7 Sydney. Just the 1 goal coming from Craig Bird and the Bombers 5-5-35. Adam Cooney has kicked a couple of miraculous goals. So a good performance by them, but can they keep it up? And for Sydney, that is their lowest half-time score since round 14. In 2008. Still plenty more to come, of course, shortly. But also we're focusing our attention on another big game. It is Brisbane and Collingwood. There's been some general hype about the Brisbane Lions this year. A lot of people liking them, the players they brought in. Let's join their coach now, Justin Lepage, who is at the Gabba at the moment. Justin, a tumultuous start to last season. Then the ship was righted, 6 wins in the last 12. What was the most valuable lesson you as coach learnt last year?
Oh, probably patience, Sandy. I think that's the biggest thing we can learn as coach is to make sure that we ride the bumps and give the players the belief to keep going. And look, we won sort of 6 games in the back end of that season, which is really good last year, and we've acquired some good players. So look, we still haven't won a game this year though, unfortunately, after a pretty good pre-season. So we still need to do the work tonight.
Of those younger players, the Lewis Taylors, the James Aish of this world, who are the guys that you are looking now to take the next step?
Oh, look, probably all of them, really. I mean, we love all our young players to step up and become good players. I think Dan McStay's shown the athleticism. He can be a very good player at AFL level as well. So, look, we had a pretty good draft, I guess a season and a half ago. So, those boys aren't forgotten either through the good recruiting of last year. But, look, it's exciting times, but we still want to make sure that when it's our time, we put our nose down and get the job done.
Collingwood, no doubt, will have the welcome mat out for Dane Beams tonight. How have you seen his preparation and his build-up to this game, and what are you hoping from him?
Well, very good. He's a fairly durable footballer, so and that hasn't really changed. He's had a very good preparation leading into this game tonight, and I guess it's a big night for Dane. He's he's a very cool customer, and I think he'll take it really well. But there's no doubt he had butterflies, and not only from he's playing his former club, but it's the first time he's playing with his brother as well. So exciting night for the family as well. Plenty
of added experience, Christensen of course, and Mitch Robinson. So from a coach's viewpoint, finally, what are your expectations this year?
Oh, you know what, competitiveness, and us to really get our defensive part of our game well. I mean, I think we can limit the opposition, and we've done that so far in the pre-season pretty well, but we have to continue that on, and then we can score, I guess, off turnover, and from that, you can't, if you don't defend well, it's very hard to be winning games. So we're using that as a very basic tool for us to improve this year.
7 wins last year. I hope you build on that. Good luck, and thanks for your time, Justin.
Thanks, Sandy. All the best.
Justin Lepich joining us there from the Gabba. That game coming up, Brisbane and Collingwood. Incidentally, ticket sales for that game, we understand, have been the best since 2010. So the word is out for the Lions, and of course, great interest with the Pies and the Beams household. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, of course, it is back to ANZ Stadium. The Bombers at the moment leading by 22 points. Could be forgiven for thinking this is last year's grand final, but no, things have not changed a great deal. Under pressure is the horse, John Longmire. So too is his side, trailing by 22 points at the long break. We're going to head back up to Sydney now with a simple question to Jonathan Brown and Jason Dunstall. Do we have an upset, Jason, in the making?
Every chance, Andy, the way things have panned out in the first half. I can tell you, it is the lowest half-time score for the Sydney Swans since round 14 back in 2008. They have kicked just the 1 goal, 7-13 to 5-5-35. So, as you mentioned, it's a 22-point margin in favour of the Bombers, and they really have had all the running. They've had a couple of opportunities. The Swans to kick a couple of goals late. Kurt Tippett missed a set shot that he possibly should have kicked, but the Bombers also missed one right on half-time. So they deserve the lead, and there's some interesting stats there too, Brownie.
Yeah, I think the key stat there is 46 tackles to Essendon and only 32 to Sydney, and that's caused Sydney to over-handball, Just. Sydney's actually had more handballs than kicks, which is definitely a stat that any coach in the AFL competition does not want. They've played a lot of hot potato. For mine, a lot of the Sydney midfielders have fumbled because of the Essendon pressure, and they've just tried to get rid of it and put their teammate under pressure, and they've just been handball, where Essendon have been a hell of a lot cleaner.
I think that kick-handball ratio has also been exacerbated by the fact that it is greasy conditions. I suspect it's a very buoyant mood down in the Essendon rooms. That's where we find Cam Mooney.
Hello, Jace. Well, it's interesting. For the first couple of minutes down here, they were very quiet. Everyone just sat in the corner, just got their hydration up and going. A lot of guys laying on their backs with their legs up in the air. Now, they've just come out of the meeting, as we can see now. Now they're starting to ramp it up a little bit. And I guess that's the big question now. Can they keep it going? 13 players who hadn't played a game in the NAB Challenge. They've all come out and they've started the game absolutely brilliantly. And it's the younger brigade like Collier and Howlett who came on as a sub. Thought he's been absolutely outstanding. So can they keep it going, guys? 13 players who haven't had a run all pre-season. It's going to be a huge task, but I reckon they're up for it.
Thanks, Moons. It does look pretty good setting down there in the rooms. You'd be pretty pumped your first half of footy. You've got the grand finalists on the ropes. Have they got the legs to put them away in the second half, Brownie?
Well, that's right. They did show some signs of tiring in that last 10 minutes of that quarter, but they hung on. Sydney were able to kick a goal, but they showed some really good leadership around the ball.
We've got to remember that they lost David Myers in the first few minutes of the game. A little bit like Carlton did with Daisy Thomas, so they're minus a sub. It'll be very interesting to see what pans out, but we have got a cracking contest, and all the action of the second half is coming up from ANZ Stadium in just a couple of minutes, Sandy.
Good on you, Jason. Thank you for that. We're really looking forward to it. 22 points is the margin in favour of the Bombers. As the boys said, they tired late in that second quarter. Can they come back in the second half? Well, stay with us and you'll find out, because all the good footy is still to come your way. Tonight at Etihad Stadium, the Western Bulldogs host the West Coast Eagles with their new skipper. He's been in the caper now for 16 years and he finds himself as captain of the club, Bob Murphy. We say to you, good luck, have a great game. We're going to take a break. When we come back, it is back to ANZ Stadium for the second half with Sydney trying to catch Essendon.
Welcome back to ANZ Stadium. All those Essendon dream believers. The return of their arguably the greatest of all time, James Hird, as coach of their club, up against John Longmire in his 100th game as an AFL coach. Second half about to get underway, and it's a 22-point lead to the Bombers.
Moon spoke to James Hird prior to the game. He said the players were ready to play. He was spot on. Are they ready to play 4 quarters?
Limited preparation for many of them. Did not play in the NAB Challenge. They elected not to play in the NAB Challenge, the majority of the players, just in case they ended up with a suspension. Will their condition hold from the ball up? And will Sydney improve? They couldn't get any worse in their opening half.
Interesting to see Sam Reid start up on a wing next to Brendan Goddard.
Dyson Heppel.
Oh, that's
50-metre penalty.
Oh, no.
He might be able to have a shot.
Well, he's certainly going to be in range. That's just silly. Craig Bird just to the side of Dyson Heppel. But he didn't get back behind the mark. The umpire gave him a clear warning.
The umpires are red hot on that. Back a few years ago, they used to give you 4 or 5 warnings. Now they'll give you 1 warning. You don't listen.
Don't know if this is his strongest point, Dyson Heppel, but he needs to kick these.
Their biggest lead was 32 points. He has driven that straight over the goal umpire's hat. That was never in doubt. And this horror show continues.
A perfect start to the second half for the Bombers, Brownie, but as you said, when you get it wrong, you will give away 50. Just have a look here. There's the push in the back. That goes against Kieran Jack. Hands in the back of Dyson Heppel. And you'll just see here, Jack stands the mark, but coming to the bottom of screen, there's Craig Bird. He's too close. He comes from forward of the mark and he goes across back towards the mark, but he doesn't. He had to go back around wide and then come in from the side.
And the players are told ad nauseum about that in the pre-season.
So from the restart, Tibbett and Bellchambers, they get the clearance finally. Parker to half forward. Franklin hasn't had an influence yet. Kennedy tried to handball it to him and missed the ball. Melksham tackled high by Franklin.
He's getting frustrated. And you can see why, because there's not much quality ball coming down. The more you look at Sydney, there just doesn't seem to be the same assuredness about their possessions and disposal when they do get it.
Frustrating for the forwards too, when the midfielders up the field are handballing all the time. It's very tough to take a mark when your teammates are handballing all the time.
Well, you think that's something that John Longmire would have addressed. That'll be 50. That'll be 50. And that was silly.
And I think we've seen the game progressing more to kicking. You know, we've seen Hawthorn are obviously the best at it, but you can't win games of footy by over handballing.
I'll tell you what, they need to be careful that ill discipline doesn't cost them any opportunity to get back here. They've given away twice as many free kicks as the Bombers.
And from senior players as well, which makes it twice as bad.
Well, will Cale Hooker go for the torpedo? Quarter time.
Dustin Fletcher's lurking.
Have a go at it.
Adam Kearney went for it at quarter time. He goes for the drop punt. He gets plenty on it, but it's offline.
Reece Shaw was lucky he didn't lose his head then.
He got very close to the man on the mark.
God almighty.
Quick kick in. Gary Rowan wide.
Good kick.
Reid. Good hands. Dry ball at the moment though.
Good move getting Reid on the wing. Got to free him up a little bit here.
Well, he's going to have a great battle with Brendan Goddard because he's been getting plenty of it.
Through hands, Bird, Fletcher. Boundary line if he wants it. Doesn't. Bangs it back to the wing. Backing back. Oh, Hanbury took out Ambrose. Umpire will sort it out with the ball up.
I reckon one of the biggest differences too, guys, when Essendon go forward, you spoke about before, Brownie, Danaher, Carlisle, they're giving a great contest in the air. They're bringing the ball to ground. 1 on 2, 1 on 3, they're bringing it to ground. Down the other end, Sydney, I just don't think they're getting enough from their tours as far as a big contest.
3-time premiership star Cameron Mooney on the boundary line today.
We've really only seen the one clean mark from tip it up forward, and that's been about the highlight from their big blokes, isn't it?
And that's the first thing you learn at key position school, isn't it, Jace? Just to make a contest first and foremost.
It's a key position fest here. Cameron Mooney, Jonathan Brown, Jason Dunstall.
Yeah, and I think you and Moons were probably better versed at it. If there's blokes dropping back, you jump into them, you take them out as well as your opponent, and you make sure that you scatter a few bodies. The one intent is to make sure they don't mark the ball and sweep it away.
Correct.
10 premierships and over 2,000 goals between the three of them. Great to have them here for this Saturday afternoon match of the round. And right now it is living up to expectations for Essendon fans who've settled back to see how this new Essendon, unencumbered Essendon, is going to travel in 2015. Melksham doesn't find the line.
Dyson Apple going for the third up. They just look... Essendon look more active around the stoppages. You know, guys going for third up, midfielders running through the contest.
Well, they were looking for a set play there because they were going to kick that to the defensive side of the centre square. They had players on the wing leading back hard towards their own centre half back position. The Sydney Swans on that occasion looking for the big change of direction, but the rampy kick was smothered.
Tippett and Bell-Chambers, they tie up again. Had a piece of each other. Heppel, good smother read, came in from the side. Grundy to Hanbury to the deck. Howlett caught high. In fact, he took legs out, so it's against him. Tippett to Grundy, and again they wanted to run it. Kearney tracks him down. Richards under some pressure, flicks it over the top. Kearney was that in the back?
Just needed to keep his weight.
Free kick to Laidler.
His back.
If Laidler can get up,
he's done this well. Alan Kearney hasn't he? He said my arm's caught under Laidler and he's not moving, so I can't get my arm out.
Looks like he's playing the rugby league game last night. Lay on top of him, wear him out.
So already you're getting lots of fat side leads from tough positions. So Sydney again, it looks like they're going to try and change direction whenever they can.
Kennedy read that well off hands. Kick wasn't so good. Isaac Heaney bangs it in Franklin's direction. Hurley's done well on him all afternoon so far. And that's a fantastic pickup on the slide, and off he goes. Hooker, crunch. Caught by the ear on the collect through. Kennedy. Good mark to Towers.
Franklin one out.
And now the cavalry arrives for Essendon. Goddard and Gleeson.
This is a poor kick from Towers.
It's terrible.
Never anywhere near him.
Hurley to Fletcher, Adam Goods, the two old stages.
Gee, if I'm Buddy Franklin, I'm getting really frustrated.
Hurley's done a terrific job, but the kicks to Franklin have always been to Hurley's advantage side.
It had to be to the right-hand side of the screen, not where the two Essendon players were coming back.
And it does drive you mad as a key forward. You're getting frustrated.
Reed.
Throw.
Right, on the job, umpire Ray Chamberlain.
He didn't protest.
This is what we're talking about at half-time. Sydney have been really fumbly. They've coughed up really easily around the stoppages.
Good kick to space.
But it's even the leadership down here, guys, from Sydney. I can't hear them, especially their forward line. I can't hear them giving directions, talking this, saying that, whatever it may be, just doing something. Essendon, on the other hand, they're giving each other direction all over the park at the moment.
Yeah, there's no confidence and that arrogance when you're playing well. There's absolutely none of that.
Oh, look out in the pocket. Melksham, he keeps that alive. A miracle. A beautiful miracle of that.
Sometimes you wonder, is it meant to be? Well, this could end up being a fairy tale day for the Bombers. I mean, let's face it, Sydney are one of the best teams going around. They're not going to give this up. They will come hard, but at the moment, have a look at this. When you're on, this is...
On the wrong side.
You'd kick that 1 out of 10 at best, wouldn't you?
1 out of 10, 1 out of 100, Chase. Jeez, you were backing yourself in. How many of those goals did you kick during your career?
Not many.
Your name wasn't Peter Dacos.
Those pictures tell the story. Jake Melksham, 16 games last year, but missed out on the final. And is 2015 going to be his year? Fletcher off the deck. His last year, of course, 2015. We presume he's been playing on a one-year contract, a year at a time for 5 years.
Very good point you made, Dwayne. Melksham's had a good game, but underrated guys. Howlett, 13 possessions. Melksham, 12.
With Mark Watson, and Howlett started on the bench, of course, as the sub.
Collier, 14. Zach Merritt, 10. They've all contributed. And their tackling stats are right up.
Through the hands of Ambrose, but he marked it.
The other interesting thing is Travis Collier has had 14 possessions. That's the most for any Bomber. Luke Parker's had 25, but he's kicking at 33% efficiency. Josh Kennedy's had 19. He's only kicking at 50%. So they're getting some of the ball, Sydney. It's just they're under pressure and they're not using it well.
That's right.
Parker out of the congestion, gets another handball to Laidler. Lance Franklin went back against the tide nicely. Jetta. Rampy can get and go. Open sides available for them.
Got to get on the end of it. Franklin was running hard. He could have got used again. But that's a poor tip too.
Reid. Goddard and Reid. Goddard does well. Bagley makes it a 2-on-3. Hanbury goes back to Franklin. It just isn't working for the Swans. They're just not on the same page as each other today.
A lot of handballs have gone to ground. That's why you've got to really respect Joe Watson's game. He's had 14 possessions. Going at 86% with his kicking.
He's leading them well. And Jared McVeigh, one of their co-captains, not playing for Sydney today. It's over to Kieran Jack to be their sole captain today. But the Bombers have brought in some magnificent experience from other clubs. Brendan Goddard, Adam Cooney. They've still got Dustin Fletcher playing at the age of 39, be 40 next month. Heppel. Bellchambers, Slung, Parker, Heaney, his first game. Gleeson read that beautifully. Hibbert, he's got Bagley on the run. Merritt, he's got Chapman on the overlap. He comes back inside. Good craft out. Goods was coming. Dyson Heppel stood his ground, and he's hurt.
Jace, you mentioned the possessions before. I mean, you look at Essendon, they've only got 7 guys who haven't had over 10 possessions, where Sydney, they've got 11 at the moment. They're just sharing the workload around at the moment. That's the biggest thing you can notice down here, is how much they're sharing it around.
And Hurley's out. They've got the overlap player here, well, Essendon. He can run if he wants to. Being told to. Goes inboard to Melksham, who wanted it a little longer. Danaher up early. And it rolls away from Collier. But they can reset. They've been winning at the stoppages.
You mentioned McVeigh missing for Sydney. They'd also love the hardness and the run of Ben McGlynn back in there for sure. But, you know, they've got enough of their best players playing today. There's no excuse for the fact that Essendon have been so much harder and more committed around the contest. He nearly threw that over the boundary.
Yeah, umpire let him off. Bombers without a few as well that would be up for selection, like Courtney Dempsey, Heath Hocking, Nick Comer, Jason Winderlick perhaps, but they're pretty close to full strength, Essendon.
Moon's made a really good point. Sydney are renowned for their communication, their voice around stoppages.
Watson again.
Ooh. Moon said it's been very quiet out there today, and that's a really troubling sign for mine.
Well, again, it just doesn't have the atmosphere of the SCG either. Try and get the crowd involved here at ANZ Stadium. The crowd are so spread.
But experienced players out there, Dwayne, you don't want to be relying on the crowd.
No, that's true. But every little 1%er can help. Hibbert. Ambrose did well. Melksham strolls to 50, kept it too low. Rampy.
That was interesting. It would have gone through. He actually had it on line, but he thought there was only one pair in front of him. Rampy was the loose that was shepherded by those two.
Skids it to Adam Goods. Drives the kick. The Hurley's in front of Franklin. Put it to the deck, though. Now Franklin's dangerous. Tippett knocks it back to Franklin. Oh, he wanted to run through the wall.
Oh, he's going to get a free kick. He took him on, too. That was well, it could have gone either way again.
That's right. I saw Ray Chamberlain. He looked at the other umpires to say, are you going to make this decision? The other umpire said no. So Ray's called it 2. I think it was probably fair enough.
Hurley knows had he held that mark, this wouldn't have happened.
Been a bit stiff there. Like, Hurley's reacted to the play upfield really well today.
Yeah, look at him. Look at the frustration going, how do I drop that chest mark?
I think he's probably beaten Franklin on the first step every time. Reacted just that half a yard quicker. But you can always get hurt if you don't take these marks. Franklin gets you on the way back to goal.
79 goals last year, yet to have an impact, and does on cue here.
That's ideal for the Sydney Swans, also for Lance Franklin. One thing you don't want as a key forward, and you can see the frustration on the face of Michael earlier because he had him done cold, but there's nothing worse than being kept goalless. So he's got that monkey off the back, buddy, now. But
yeah, the free kick was there. Just got him from around the back of the neck. I'll tell you what, the Bud's not the one you want to drop a mark and give him a chance, because as we know about this bloke, he can change the course of a game in the space of 10 minutes. And Sydney are going to need him to stand up and change the course of the game. I don't think anyone else looks like they could turn it.
5 touches, but he's got a goal on the board. He's away.
First of many, you'd think, for the year for Lance Franklin, but it's been a mighty slow start. Took him over a half to get it. Hanbury in the goods direction. Good fist away. No infringement. Stanton wobbles it towards half forward. Straight through Richards. Straight through Danaher. Carlisle outside of the boot. Merritt.
Flow that, is it? That's a good result. The key for the Bombers now is you've got to fight back quick, because all of a sudden, if Sydney go forward and kick another, little doubts creep in. Sydney get their backs up, they get their confidence up, the crowd starts to come into it, and you have a few doubts as an Essendon player. They want to quickly answer that Franklin goal. Make sure they kick the next one.
29 points the margin. Free's been found. Kieran
Jack's run off 50 metres away, and they've let Hanbury take it.
Yeah, so Jack's going to have to come back.
He just marked the ball. He's going to kick it back.
He doesn't want to go and have it.
Oh, they've confused. I think they've called Hanbury Kieran Jack.
Okay.
A few of the Essendon players were making that point then. That's not Kieran Jack. Because the umpire clearly said Kieran Jack, his free kick.
Bird, who kicked their only goal of the opening half. Mike Pike. And floating in, not quite. Parker, though. Gleeson. Chapman, can he half volley it? Did well to keep it in front. Melksham, bang, gone. Got it back again. Bounced up like a rubber ball. He could go for home here. Can kick a long ball. Kicks it towards Goddard. Just edged out illegally by Rampy. Goddard's free.
Wow. It's going to be interesting. Was this in the side or predominantly in the back with the hands?
He doesn't miss these, Brendan Goddard. You give him a present, he'll take it.
Yeah.
Very, very happily. He is a beautiful kick at the footy, but they couldn't afford this. It's great for Bombers. As I said, they need to get straight back and answer that goal from Sydney. They don't want Sydney to get any momentum whatsoever.
Melksham burst out of the centre there. Probably went to the wrong guy. Collier was on his own.
He'd kick this 100 times out of 100.
To put momentum back in Essendon's favour.
Wow. Didn't Jace just put it on the line right then? He'll kick this 100 out of 100.
He is one of the best kicks going. So great work from Jake Melksham. He was in a little bit of bother. He fumbled the first one because he knew he was going to get hit, but he stayed in the contest. Now have a look here. Oh, that's a tough decision from that angle.
Well, the ruling is you can rest your hands on the player's back. You just can't force it.
In the back or in the side? It's hard to tell, isn't it?
It probably was. The letter of the law in the back.
We don't mind the forward getting a free kick, Brownie.
That's right.
Any obscuring of the number by a hand, and they count it as back.
I like this Goddard going forward as well.
Bell Chambers and Tippett. Can the Swans respond? Oh, good hard attack by Ambrose.
Jeez, he's been hard today, Ambrose.
Good tap down by Cooney. Back with a flight. He attacked it. Smith attacked and gets a free.
Clumsy. Ambrose.
18 minutes gone, third term. If you have just joined us, this is the biggest margin again of the game. 35 points.
They tried to get the ball back in the corridor a couple of times.
Cunningham back to Smith. Rampy wanted to go.
He played on. He called it play on.
And is that your prior? It is. That's his prior opportunity. He elected to play on, and he was cooked.
He's not enjoying the umpires at the moment, Dane Rampy. Just cost him a goal with the interaction with Adam Cooney moments ago. And that one, he wanted to go. He half went. And the umpire saw it.
Ambrose sets it up. Watson. Good contest, and it's out of play. And suddenly time becoming a factor in this as well. Difficult conditions. Rain continuing to tumble. 35 points the margin, and we're about to start ticking into time on. Bellchambers, good palm down. Dyson Heppel, top of the square. Danaher with 2 to beat. They'll take that, the Bombers.
Another great contest. Joe Danaher certainly got his confidence up. He kicked 4 in the final against North Melbourne last year at the MCG. Just seems to have a lot of confidence out of that. He's obviously grown physically over the pre-season.
He's a bit bigger. He looks a bit. He's still lean, but he looked downright skinny last year, didn't he?
Parker spins out of trouble. Dangerous kick.
He's good, Luke Parker, though.
Stanton couldn't smother, so it's a bouncing ball towards Rowan on the wing. He tries to flick on. There's no one there. Gleeson collects. Oh, got him by the ear. Play on advantage. Stanton is free. Can he find a chest to put the ball on? Sits it up.
Bellchambers.
Danaher almost through his grasp. Back in. Tries to keep it alive. Adam Cooney. This is getting nasty.
And Gary Rowan's injured himself in that last contest as well. First 3 for Adam Cooney. And he's been an inspired recruit. When you look at the impact he's had today. He's kicked 1 in each of the quarters thus far. Hasn't picked up the sort of possessions that he normally would. But 10 possessions and 3 goals. You've got to say that's been a pretty profound impact.
I don't think James Hird would be expecting him to come in and average 30 possessions like he did when he won the Brownlow medal. He just want to come in 15, 16 touches, get a couple of games, add leadership.
Former #1 pick back in 2003. Traded over summer for pick 37. Turns 30 this year, and he has been rejuvenated. 3 goals, 1 in each quarter for Adam Cooney.
The mountain just got a lot higher for the Sydney Swans.
Absolutely, and it's snowing up there. Kennedy can't get the kick away. Hooker, and they're inspired right now, the Bombers. They are running on adrenaline, and adrenaline might get them home even if fitness starts to fade. Laidler tries to squeeze it wide. Race on, Bird and Gleeson. And the boundary line too quick for them both.
Tell you what, though, adrenaline's a very powerful thing when you're 41 points in front.
And look at Gary Rowan here. Something happens, I think, to his ankle because he was limping heavily after that, and then he just came off. So we'll get a check on him in a moment.
He's just running some laps now, Jace, at the moment. He does have that left knee, a bit of strapping underneath it as well.
He's properly when he came off.
Gleeson, well, he's caught as he tried to shrug off. The ball was stripped, and he got away with it.
But Sydney's lacking around these stoppages. As we look at Gary Rowan there, he might be all right. Just lacking a bit of movement around the stoppages.
This is the biggest margin of the game if you've just joined us. 41 points. Grundy couldn't pick up. Collier tried to get it away. Heppel tries to get it away. Zaharakis does get it away. Goddard comes hard. Clean pick. Melksham. Hooker. You heard the call. Touch. Cooney tried to flick on. Every ball a tough one, and the tough bodies are getting the freeze. Cooney's got it.
Oh, it's 50. Yeah. Geez, how's their attack on the ball been from the Essendon boys?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Fletcher's there if he wants him. Now the spare man is Bagley. Gleeson looks up.
Got Hurley in the corridor.
Bagley fed wide, which opened up the space in the middle. Hurley can go.
Bad kick, that one.
He misread the lead from Heppel, who's going to come off for a spell as we speak.
Give Cameron Mooney a chance to have a look at whether any of these players are starting to fatigue, whether the trainers are working overtime to keep them alive here.
And good to see Gary Rowan back on the ground, so he's okay.
Back into play. Hanbury buffeted out of it. Ambrose, good pick on the run and nice hands. Collier sits it up. Goddard in a 1-on-2. Richards gets back. Goddard for the crumb. Rampy caught by Danaher. Smith. Jetta's his target. He's got it. And even Jetta not playing on at the moment. And that's normally his modus operandi.
Tried to kick a torpedo.
Heaney
got away with it.
First game has looked good.
Franklin wants it long up the line.
Franklin. Parker off hands. Good hassle by Stanton. Not quite good enough. Space ahead.
Gee, that's a good kick.
Oh, he's dropped it. He's put it to grass. So Lloyd, the sub, now on. That was his first touch. They've subbed someone out. Kennedy, sidestep, caught. Tried to get the handball up. Hannabrick caught. Handball to Bird, caught. Dump. Parker, caught. Dump. Ball in there. And they cover the gaps, Essendon, for a ball up.
So it might be Adam Goods, the man that's been subbed out.
Yeah, definitely down here, Jose. He's just got the red vest on now, so Lloyd's come on, Goods off.
They've rolled the dice, the Swans. Running out of time. Collier hammers it clear. Grundy. Goddard. Shows some poise. All class. Nice release kick. The boundary line or Carlisle would have taken either.
I'll tell you what, you just mentioned there, Dwayne, poise. And Brendan Goddard's probably got the best, or one of the best in the comp for poise and composure under pressure, and he's got the kicking skills to match as well. And that's another area that Essendon have clearly been in front of Sydney, is their kicking disposal, even in these bad conditions.
And the ball in.
Just the 9 possessions for Adam Goods today. Didn't hit the scoreboard, so not a big one for him.
They tried to get him involved early, Jace. They had him up around the midfield.
Shaw drives it long, hoping for Franklin. He won't get near it. Essendon with the numbers. Gleeson left it behind. Franklin does get near it. Heaney. Essendon getting players back, and Fletcher get there. He might rush the behind.
Still reads the play well. He's a marvel, isn't he?
Still got those long arms. They're not getting any shorter.
No. He could have been 5 metres behind and still reached over and punched that one through.
Well, Collier in a 1-on-2. Oh, Kennedy did well, flicked it back, kept it alive. Jack, and he kicked one from there.
Oh, he's just torched Luke Parker.
Over the back.
And Luke Parker turns around and puts the arms in the air as though to say, well, why wouldn't you kick it to me?
Goddard comes hard. Laidler holds his ground.
I mean, Kieran Jack's running straight at goal and virtually in line is Luke Parker, 45-degree angle. It's a 10 or 15-metre kick finds him. He's all on his own. He has a set shot that you'd expect him to kick, and he kicks to a 1-on-2.
That's what tends to happen under pressure. You don't see those shorter targets that are free inside 50. You get desperate and you bomb to the top of the goal square to your usual target, Buddy Franklin, even if he's got 2, 3, 4 people on him sometimes.
Coming off a 19-game season last year, Jeremy Laidler, but did miss out on the grand final 22. Gee, got plenty on that. That was never in doubt. And he breathes some life into this.
They bring it back to a 6-goal game, but in the context of the game and the conditions and the way that Sydney have found it, very difficult to score. You have a look here. You can just see Luke Parker all on his own halfway between the goals, and Kieran Jackie goes long to a contest. Now it works out in the end. I think they're a little bit lucky that it wasn't pushed through for a behind. But it took a very good conversion from Jeremy Laidler.
It's a great kick from outside 50. They need to string some goals together. That's what they haven't been able to do, Sydney.
From the ball up, 3 minutes left. And they steal another before three-quarter time.
I mean, Joe Watson's been terrific. Like, look, he's only had 16 touches. When I say only, compared to, say, Luke Parker, who's had 32, but his efficiency's been good. He's had good leadership. He's been strong in the contest.
Kicked a goal, half a dozen clearances.
Gained some ground, did Melcham.
He does a lot of the heavy grunt work. Essendon have got a lot of players that can play inside, midfield, outside. But Job's inside. He's in the engine room the whole time. That takes enormous physical presence.
He must be a relieved man as well, Jobe Watson. A lot of speculation on him, whether he keep his Brownlow. He can play unburdened now and lead this team home from here.
This guy's been good as well, Jake Melksham, out of the side towards the end of last year.
Top possession, get an hour with 18 for the Bombers.
Grundy came hard, big fist out of play. The Bombers don't mind the reset. They're enjoying this. 2:38 left.
They'll just try and work the boundary now, all the way along. Certainly when they're attacking. Worst case scenario, goes out of bounds. Reset for Essendon.
Back into play. Bell Chambers. Almost flicked it to Melksham. Parker rolls it to the wing. Bird off the deck, but there's no one home. Goddard, the goalkeeper, he was waiting back for exactly that. Heppel can go. Hurley says, hold it up, fella. We'll take our time here, get a breath. Danaher floats in. Free kick. Kirk Tippett.
Sydney have got to attack here. They can only switch the play and go through the corridor.
Franklin's worked hard here upfield. He should get the ball.
He has worked really hard this quarter, buddy, hasn't he?
He ran 100 metres for that into space, and the kick skews off the side of the boot and goes out of bounds.
It's been a good contest all day with Hurley and Franklin, but it certainly hasn't been through lack of buddies trying. The kicking team has been terrible all day.
Back into play. Dying stages third term.
Look at all the big blokes for the Swans. Franklin's had 6 possessions, 1 goal. Reid 5 possessions, no score. Tippett 5 possessions, 1 behind. And Pike, who's played ruck and forward, has had 3 possessions, no score.
That's what I love about Buddy, though. He never stops trying. He'll get up the field. He's prepared to work.
Little toe poke from Buddy. Wrapped up. Knew he had to get it out. Did get it out. Off the deck. Lloyd waiting for it. Centre half back. 1-2 with Laidler works. The release handball to Richards. And they steal one in this last 90 seconds. Kept it low. Turnover. Bombers might get one on the rebound. Hooker. Danaher. Sits it up. Swans have the numbers. Getting back. Reid. Good hands. Nicely measured pass to Lloyd. Just over the hand of Hibbert. He's got Jack wide. We're down to a minute. And he bangs it long in hope. So it comes down to this. This is a massive kick. 56 seconds. Cunningham with the ball. And he's just inside his range.
We were watching Harry Cunningham having some set shots warming up before the game, before they actually did their official warm-up. I've never seen a bloke miss more in a row than Harry Cunningham did. And he kept kicking them until he finally got one, and then he went off.
Yeah, they'll probably kick this one.
Hopefully he's got the bad ones out of his system.
He also had a horror 3-kick grand final. He must have erased that memory. He did not hit it well. It's remarkable.
That's what I saw.
That's exactly what you saw.
You've read it pretty well today, Jace. You called it beautiful.
That's why we pay him the big bucks, Brownie.
Exactly right. Harry Cunningham, another one of those younger players, as you mentioned, Dwayne, that played in the grand final last year, along with Jake Lloyd and a couple other guys that they would expect improvement again this year.
Can they steal one? Every player inside attacking 50 for the Swans. Every player with both teams just about. Now they run. Stanton. Carlisle gets back. Grundy takes the mark. Maybe time enough for Lloyd to bang this into a mark. 2 seconds.
It's been good, Lloyd.
1 second. Siren sounds. Well, the Bombers have been front page, back page for the past 2 years. They win this. They'll be front page again tomorrow for all the right reasons. Don't go far. Essendon by 34 points. Kearney, 219 games for the Western Bulldogs, Brownlow medalist, traded over summer, and he has been inspiring. 3 goals so far, 1 in the first, after the quarter-time siren, one in the second and one in the third, and that was a massive nerve settler for the Bombers, who lead against all odds at three-quarter time here at ANZ Stadium in Sydney by 34 points. What have you made of it, guys?
Well, I think that, it's obviously been a dominant display by Essendon. You look at those stats there. What really stands out for me so far has been the tackles. 56 to Essendon, 45 Sydney. And normally the tackle count is led by the side that's getting beaten, and beaten comprehensively, because they're always chasing the opposition who's got the footy. It's been the other way around, hasn't it, Jess?
I'll tell you what, John Longmire, he would be impressing on this group right here, that you said a lot of things during the week about making up for a poor grand final performance. You haven't showed me much. We need to do it. Heard he'd just be saying more of the same as we head down to Cam Mooney.
Thanks, Jace. Look, I absolutely love the leadership and the composure that this group has showed in Essendon today. Even at halftime, I spoke about it, and again just then, there's no ranting, no raving. The boys are cool, the boys are calm, and just watching them, they've absolutely got this in their legs. They've got the run, no question about this. They'll get over the line here. This is one of the great wins for Essendon Football Club.
And the specific message in the style to play the last quarter will be to play with that composure. Just to kick the footy around, don't slow it completely and don't move forward. Still move the ball forward, but just try and take the life out of the game for Essendon here and make it really difficult for Sydney.
If I'm Hurdy, I'm just not getting too technical. I'm saying to that group, looking them in the eye, saying, if you give me the same commitment for the next 30 minutes that you have for the last three quarters, I guarantee you'll be rewarded at the end of the game.
Final term underway. We could see a little bit of history unfolding here. Parker bangs it inside 50, and that's been the story.
Again, he didn't need to do that. He had time and space, and he juggled it and kicked it out of mid-air thinking he was about to be tackled.
We haven't spoke much about Carl Hooker all day, but he's done a fantastic job on the ruckman, Pike, and Kurt Tippett, who's more of a recognised forward. He's only had one goal kicked on him.
What I've liked about both Hooker and Hurley is they're not afraid to take front position away from the forward and back themselves and attack the footy rather than worrying too much about your opponent.
Rain starting to pump down again here. Collier to half forward, just over Cooney, and Reid takes the mark. Can the Swans get back?
Well,
it's their home ground.
The rain's certainly not going to help them, Dwayne, but they've got to take risks. They've got to use the corridor at every opportunity. They've got to try and hit up some leads and play on as quickly as possible.
Rowan heads wide. Franklin's his target, and he gets there.
Just didn't stick, and he was a little bit sore when he went down there, I reckon. Just see him grimacing. He landed heavily on the shoulder, but he kept leading. He keeps attacking the ball. That's all he can do. It's a good contest. Hurley's right there.
And what you said, Jace, before about the Essendon defenders taking front spot, it's a wet ball too, so it will drop short.
Kennedy trying to break free. Watson trying to inspire them again, the captain. To the wing, and it bounces out.
But it does take great courage from a defender to stand in front of the likes of a Buddy Franklin, because, boy, if that ball gets over the top and over the back, it's going to be an instant goal.
Every minute that ticks down now, super important for the momentum to start this season for these two teams. Swans, of course, coming off a 10-goal humiliation in the grand final. Rowan takes off. No one in the square. Franklin held. Franklin's ball. It'll get goal anyway. Advantage and a goal.
That's going the other way.
Other way, boys.
It's going to Hurley.
Yes, Franklin.
This is amazing.
We'll need to see that one again. They were both hanging on there. It was almost like watching a waltz. They were holding each other and turning around in circles, but who initiated it, it doesn't really matter. It's who gets caught. It's who the umpire sees as infringing.
Long ball towards the wing. Everybody trying to work that out, catch their breath, trying to come up with an answer as to why the Swans have had no luck whatsoever all day. Franklin up, got it, bang, gone, down.
In trouble.
He's caught, rolling around the body towards goal, and he misses.
On the ground
Someone's
there?
out.
He is still down.
I think it's Luke Parker, boys.
He's still down.
He's been knocked out.
He was prone there.
Speaking of no luck,
that'll be the end of the day for Luke Parker, and that's a sign of his courage. He just attacks the footy all the time, eyes on the ball, and both players were committed. It's just unfortunate the two teammates have got eyes on the footy.
Have a look at that.
Oh, he's gone down heavily and got the second whack when his head hit the deck, Luke Parker.
Buddy's in the footy record at 107 kilos, so it's a fair bit of weight coming through there.
That's a wrecking ball, isn't it, Brownie? Look, and unfortunately, they've used their sub as well. We know Lloyd's come on for Adam Good, so they're going to be one down now as far as substitutes go.
Yep.
Isn't he a bull, Luke Parker?
Oh, he's a star.
He's single-handedly tried to get him back 36 possessions he's had, but God, he's courageous.
For me, he's the single most improved player in the competition the last few years. He's gone from good, honest try to superstar, culminating in that best and fairest last year. But he's out. He's finished for the day. And he looks very, very
blood
good.
Out of the mouth as well, which is always troubling. I've had a little bit of experience with these head injuries, and sometimes it can be a sign of a little crack in the jaw. So let's hope he hasn't got a crack there.
I think at one stage they thought about naming the concussion policy the Jonathan Brown rule, didn't they, Dwayne? Such was the number of times he'd been KO'd. But
you started it with that horrendous helmet you wore years ago.
The good thing is we've got.
He's moving.
We have got some of the best people versed in these areas. The medical staff at the footy clubs are the best people to assess and to treat these players and to take every possible precaution to make sure they're okay.
Pretty sure Brownie had his own cart and stretcher there for a while, named after him, didn't you, Brownie?
Yeah, they put his number on the buggy that drives the stretcher out.
So how many plates have you still got, Brownie?
I've got 15 plates in your face, so, and unfortunately, a sign if there's blood in your mouth, it's either you've lost a tooth or there's a crack in your mouth somewhere or in your jaw. So we don't want to be alarmists and don't want to jump to conclusions. I'm certainly not a doctor, but that's the advice I've been given over the years.
Look, he's up and moving and he's standing up. He's probably going to walk off unassisted. He's going to get up and climb onto the buggy, which is great. But he certainly won't be taking any further part. He's a courageous young man, that fellow.
He's one of the more courageous in the competition. Best and fairest winner last year. He's been the best player over the NAB Challenge. If he misses weeks here, on the form of Sydney today, that'll be a huge loss.
He's had 36 touches, Luke Parker. That's a personal best for him. And it's also 13 more than the next best on the ground.
He can hold his head up high.
Let's hope it's just a mild concussion and nothing more. And hopefully he'll be okay as soon as possible and playing next week. Did you say 15 plates in your face?
I do, 15 plates. And
hasn't helped, has it?
It has. The makeup girl ran out of makeup before we went on here.
Play back underway. Hurley towards the wing. Dyson Hampel, that could be on the full. It is.
And John Longmire might be making mention of Luke Parker's attack on the footy and say, this is what we need from the rest of you.
Free kick. Blocked to Franklin's ball. Can they get a break or two here, Sydney?
Well, this certainly wasn't Michael Hurley's fault. I'm wondering who it was that came in and took Franklin out, because I think Hurley's the one that ended up marking the ball. He can't believe, he goes, it wasn't me. He's looking at the screen for a replay.
Hard to tell. Both forward and defender are usually always hanging on to each other in those contests.
Franklin just drives it long. It's a goal. That could be the fire starter for the Swans.
He's played a superb game, Michael Hurley, and we saw him drop a chest mark at the other end, which ended up in a Franklin goal. And now he's taken the mark here. He's just... How is that a block out?
Yeah, no, that was a poor decision.
The umpire paid a shepherd. He said blocking at the contest. He's won a contested mark.
We did see earlier as well, about 5 minutes earlier, Jace, where Hurley earned the free kick and it looked like it was Franklin. So the umpire might have been squaring up. Look at this run up, Jace. Doesn't go out as far as he used to.
Yeah, that's the new rule, I think, but the trouble with that is that's the wrong interpretation of it. You can actually use your body if you're going for the mark, and you do mark it.
And he did that, so you can understand why he's a little perplexed.
Yeah, that's a free if you don't actually go for the mark.
But I do like the way Franklin's kicking. He certainly has straightened that run up, particularly when he's close to the goal.
Yes.
And it looks so much better.
It just lowers the percentage when you go right out, doesn't it?
27 points the margin. It was 40. The Swans, last year's grand finalist, fighting here at home against an Essendon team that has had very limited preparation.
Chappie's just gone and pushed
Laidler
over. I don't know what's going on. Well, Chappie's throwing one at Pikey as well. He's angry.
Long kick forward, tip at the target. Ball clean to the back. Hurley's there, Franklin's there, boundary line's there.
Chapman's still going at Laidler. He wants to go on with it, Chappie.
They used to be ex-teammates. Yes.
Yeah, but he must have seen something in the contest there that he didn't like, because he had to go at a couple of them, and he wants to go at it.
It's pretty fiery too, isn't he, Moons, Chappie? We've seen over the years.
It doesn't take him much, Brownie, for the switch to flick on him. Let me tell you.
Collier tries to knock on Jetta. Sidestep outside of the boot. Goal square. Thump towards the line. Through for a behind. Down to 26 points. A lot of time left.
Certainly hasn't. The conditions haven't played into Lewis Jetta's hands today. Only had 12 possessions.
Danaher, Richards, Bell Chambers all up. Good attack, Melksham. Fantastic attack by the captain, Jack. Pike, a roller. Clean bowls a couple. Tippett. They're in this.
Go out, nothing.
That was sensational. The big fella on his left. Can't say we've seen Kurt Tippett kick a lot of goals like that over the journey, Jace.
Showed good dexterity, good flexibility just to pick it up and snap it on the left foot. So you see what I liked here was they got the ball back. See the punch from Pike got it back into the corridor. So you put it in a dangerous position, and then it's just a matter of keeping the ball alive. Look at this grab, clean grab and a good snap.
They have halved the margin in the last 15 minutes from 40 down to 20, and we've still got more than 15 left in this contest. Howlett tries to break free. They're inspired now, the Swans. Laidler, he's inspired. He's been ruffled. Hanbury long. Franklin, not quite. Drags it in, caught, throws it out. And that could be 50 against Lloyd.
He's going to get the benefit of the doubt.
So what they've done now, they've put Brendan Goddard back in defence as a loose man. Sydney have straight away gone and manned him up. So Sydney are now playing with a 7-man forward line.
It's a smart option, Brad. I mean, they're winning the contested ball at the moment this quarter, and even the clearance is 5-1 this quarter. So they're playing the Sydney of old at the moment, one-on-one, really tight game.
Swans have won the last 4 games against Essendon. Beat them both times last year. Off hands, Shaw, and the crowd starting to get into it. On the full free kick.
He did the hard work too, Reece Shaw. Won the ball, spoiled it, picked up the loose one, just couldn't keep the ball in play.
Played twice last year, round 9. Swans by 9 goals. Franklin kicked 5 of them. And round 19, without Franklin, still beat the Bombers, did the Swans.
I'll tell you what, he's had a big record against the Bombers over the years too, Dwayne.
And make no mistake, if they kick 1 or 2 more, they get very nervous, the Bombers. Because everyone's expected the Swans to come with them, and it hasn't looked like it. But now they've got themselves within touching distance, and this is after Moons declared them dead and buried at 3/4 time.
And the Bombers, a few of the Bombers themselves will not know if they've got the condition in them. They have not played any NAB challenge. That was their choice. They elected not to take the chance, but they won't know. This is their biggest contest of the year.
You nervous, Moons?
You've just made me a little bit nervous.
Pike from the slap down.
All of a sudden the crowd's come into the game a little bit.
And they've got it away. Bird keeps it low. Franklin got there late. Carlisle can't mark it. Tippett shrugs one. Bumped on the kick. Free kick, Essendon.
So what they've got to be very, very careful of Sydney now. They're winning a little bit of ball, but you've got to kick it to one-on-ones. You've got to keep the ball away from the spare in defence. That time, Carlisle, the kick virtually came straight to him.
Well, that's right. They'll keep trying to man up that spare now. Sydney will be happy even if they have to play an 8-man forward line. They don't want any loose guys around the contest, especially not Brendan Goddard, who we know used the ball so well.
So 7 inside 50s to 0 in favour of Sydney in the 4th term. This is where the game's being played at the moment.
Yeah, Carlisle's behind the footy. Mike Pike's pushed forward.
Heppel gets it out. Stanton caught.
Sorry, Laidler.
Howlett breaks free. Dyson Heppel caught. Oh, the old 1-2-3 works beautifully. Ambrose to Howlett.
Got to keep running. They've got numbers here. Just keep running.
Can they steal one against the run of play here? Long kick, full forward. Numbers down there. Little spill. Cooney couldn't wrap it up. Smith. Straight through Jack. Goddard should get there. Bagley. Sends it back long in hope. Swans have the numbers. It's on the full anyway.
At least it's out of bounds, though, in the Essendon forward line. So Sydney...
Should have taken that, shouldn't he?
Yeah, he should have. Be disappointed with that. It's pretty slippery out there now, though.
He at least has played nab challenge. Long to the wing. Hooker's down there. Pike is down there. And they'll reset from the ball in. 14 minutes left. 20 points to margin. And the margin was 40.
This is good for Essendon. They want to keep it as close to the boundary as they possibly can. Get it out of bounds. Reset. Get your breath back. They'll be starting to fatigue now with no games under their belt in the pre-season.
Last year's grand finalist up off the canvas. Reid to Kennedy, caught. Good attack from Bird, no free. Crowd 1-1.
He tried to release a teammate in Josh Kennedy there, Sam Reid, but he would have been better throwing it on the boot himself.
This is exactly what Sydney want at the moment. There's 7-2 clearances this quarter. If you're Essendon, you need to come up and stuck up these stoppages so they don't get anything free.
Yeah, you're right, Moons. What Sydney have done is they've put less numbers at the stoppage and tried to make it man-on-man so there's more space around it.
Yep. And here is the space. Jeddah's about to use it. Isaac Heaney, the 18-year-old. He's got Towers long. He ignores him, goes for Franklin, missed him. Hibbert.
He's inexperienced, but that's a really, really bad kick. He had to keep it away from the loose Essendon players, or he just had to give a contest to one of his forwards, and he didn't create that opportunity.
Merritt. Danaher.
Well done by Danaher.
He's done that a few times, just punched it and gained another 15 metres and found the boundary.
Smart, just get it to the boundary. Reset now.
And everybody takes a breath, and boy, are the Bombers players sucking them in now.
And they will. They'll try and get some space here, Sydney. Get some movement through the stoppage.
Pike.
Belted forward.
Stolen by Melksham. Stripped by a boot. Heaney, good pick up on the move. Couldn't get away with it though. Ball thrown out to Chapman. Fletcher. Richards. Danaher. And we're inside 13 minutes. Just keeps on keeping on, Teddy Richards.
They've just got the game back in their control a little bit here, Essendon. They've just been very smart around these stoppages, finally winning a couple of these stoppages, which has been the main thing for them.
Canterbury caught high.
Yeah, and if you're Essendon, you're happy.
Heaney caught high as well.
Happy to burn time off the clock at every opportunity.
Franklin, Hurley in front, got a fist on it.
Well done again.
Laidler, nice collect. Rowan, Bird, Laidler, kicks it forward in hope, bounces poorly for Franklin, kindly for Hurley.
Geez, they've lacked composure, Sydney, going forward today.
Hooker back to Hurley.
They have rushed.
Oh, he's launched the torp.
And it'll work. Watson's under it, nearly got it. Isaac Heaney, arms free, tackled, couldn't find a teammate with it. Melksham flicks it up. Sydney's ball on the wing, 12 minutes left.
They're coming. They are coming, the Swans. They've just got to keep their composure, the Bombers.
Wide ball, Franklin the target, he's in front. Ball to the back. Played that well, Hurley.
He still draws attention, and more often than not, the loose player is going to gravitate towards Franklin. Sometimes you just got to fake as though you're going there and then just kick to another one-on-one contest in the 50-metre arc.
Well, I know that Buddy's the man that's going to win the game for him. So Essendon defenders will get drawn to him.
Howler. Ambrose.
Boundary's a good result.
Richards knows it's a bad result. Tries to keep it alive, but to his detriment. Collier. Stops, props, looks. Bird, turnover. Bird hands it up. Long bomb. Tip it!
Great grab.
Baby, that's good!
That is a good mark because he should have got a free kick to start with. He was retarded. He was held by Hooker in the first instance, but he was good enough to fight that off and then lunge and take the mark. A good kick here makes it real interesting.
And he throws the shin guard away again.
We saw him miss one from an easier position at this end in the second term. What have we got here?
Certainly the second half.
We've got a blood rule here. No? Yeah, there is a blood rule, is it?
Certainly the second half. The key forwards for Sydney have stood up. They've kicked some goals out of nothing. Had a couple of shots out of nothing. They haven't had a lot of the footy.
Oh, it's a head clash. Ambrose and Richards, and Ambrose has cut himself open.
Big kick, this one.
Well, the good thing about a blood rule is you get time to rest.
Yeah.
So if you're tired and you're worried and all those sorts of things, and the pressure of the moment, you can just relax, take a few deep breaths, think about your routine, and then get ready to execute.
He missed from a similar area on the ground a few minutes ago. This is probably a little bit tight angle, Dwayne.
Does make a difference. Hart right down to about 65, 70 beats a minute as opposed to 175. This is a massive kick. Everyone on the edge of their seats here, home. Swans fans right at home. We've got a classic finish coming up for your Saturday afternoon match of the round.
Play conservative. Don't allow Sydney to play on when they get the ball. They've got to get back to that brand of defensive pressure they had in the first 3 quarters. At the moment, they're just finding a little bit more space, the Swans, and they've got a sniff of something.
He's had a pretty good quarter, Kurt Tippett. He's had 9 contested possessions and 8 disposals there, Jay. So that's a real good effort.
Advantage.
No need to tell you how big the clearances are now. Rampy gets up, flicks it long. Heaney with the flick out to space. Jetta tried to get and go, left it behind. Merritt to half forward. Grundy puts it to grass.
And went to ground.
Costly.
No one's in the goal square.
That is brilliant.
Run down tackle.
That is brilliant from Franklin.
Absolutely awesome.
He doesn't give up, buddy.
Franklin wide. Rowan flies, ball out of play. That was the game over.
He read that from the middle of the ground, and he saw it was a 2-on-1, and he just accelerated. He went through the gears. Look at him. Just gather him in.
I don't think we talk about it enough about Buddy. I always rated his competitiveness. He never gives up. He's a big game player, we know, but he always tries hard for his team, no matter what situation.
That could be a massive tide turner. Jack hammers it inside 50. Reed's got a couple to beat. Ball hits the deck. Reed scrambles, flicks it out. Rowan, Jack, backed into a gang tackle. Got it down, Reed, flicks it up. Tippett, off the cover. All the drama you could possibly think of.
That would have put the cat amongst the pigeons if he kicked that. Back within a couple of kicks.
Still a fair bit of time too. Nearly 10 minutes.
Now Dustin Fletcher will go long and he'll go wide.
Get to the boundary, boys. That's what the Essendon boys will be saying.
Danaher can't mark it. Cooney tries to scramble it away. Zaharakis caught. Shaw wraps him up, takes him down. Ben Howlett gang tackle. This is a different game. This is a different Swans.
Where was this intensity from Sydney in the first 3 quarters?
Or is it Essendon wearing out? Are they getting tired?
Look, they are starting to wear out a little bit, guys. I know with the early crowd, you can see them down here at the moment. They're getting their legs rubbed. They are pretty sore down here, but they haven't scored Essendon since the 19-minute mark of the 3rd quarter.
Swans have kicked the last 4 goals.
Nearly.
Had a big piece of that. Still a chance, though. Hurley kept it alive. Out of bounds, a win for Danaher. Sees it across.
Nearly on the full.
He almost hung on to that.
Yep.
Kurt Tippett just couldn't quite hang on to it all the way to the ground.
13 points the margin. It was 40.
All of a sudden, Kurt Tippett's posing as the major threat.
There's still more than 2 kicks from the lead. Bell Chambers.
Good ruck contest to win, and he gained 20-25 metres.
So now Sydney have almost got, I think they've got 8 forwards ahead of the ball. Just trying to man up on Essendon, trying to get a lot of loose men behind the contest. Obviously trying to save the game now. 13 points in front, 9 minutes to go.
Bell Chambers almost rucked all day single-handedly. Bird didn't strike it that well. Tippett having an impact. Slap away from Hooker. Watson still there for the run on. Watson. Heppel goes long. Chapman's got 2 to beat. Ball hits the deck. Richards wearing the helmet now. Got one to the ear earlier. Chapman tries to keep it alive. It's wide. It's high. And it's out on the full.
Right. You got to cut off the change of direction here if you're Essendon.
A win for Essendon here is if Sydney kick it down
up the line. Yep.
Pike and Tippett both there. Tippett's up, rises, hands on a good flick out by Hooker.
He's close to marking everything that comes near him at the moment, Kurt Tippett.
I think he called earlier, boys. They needed to go find another option other than Buddy. Everyone knew where it was going. All of a sudden, Tippett's just planting himself into this game.
I like how he's getting up there and supporting the ruckman in the aerial contest when the Sydney guys are coming out of defence.
Still raining, but it's like it's a dry ball at the moment. The handling's a lot better. Bird scrambles it. Fletcher. Danger. Oh, that was a win for Hooker.
Just all of a sudden, Essendon have looked a little bit fumbly. For 3 quarters, Sydney have fumbled. Essendon's been clean with the ball, but that's what pressure does to you, doesn't it, Jase?
It certainly does, and they can feel it. There's no doubt about that.
And they had to jump early with their sub. Ben Howlett had to come on with Myers off after the opening minutes. So they've been down on rotations as well as being down on conditioning. Stanton caught. Melksham. Boundary line again was his option. Doesn't roll enough. Lloyd. Tippett's there. Knocks it down towards Towers. Did well. Hanbury, bang. Jack, the captain, sizes it up, bends it back. It's a 2-kick game.
Tell you what, they're bursting forward, Sydney, with energy.
They're creating opportunities, aren't they?
And that's what they say.
Oh, that's a free.
The message would be coming down from the coach box. Play on at all opportunities. Run forward at all opportunities.
That could be a massive turnover.
He's a long kick, Jeddah. You'd think he's going to...
Top of the goal square.
Heads the pocket. Carlisle.
Falcon.
Bird. Oh, it's bending.
A miracle goal.
No way. Never in your wildest dreams. There's a goal in it.
Brownie, what's happening out here?
Well, I tell you what.
Craig Bird's just kicked a miracle goal. I'll tell you what he has done. And now there's only a kick in it. Have a look at this.
What a goal over the shoulder. What's happening? Essendon are getting really tired. They're trying to save the game. They're loading up. I think they've got nearly 9 players in Sydney's forward line blocking up the ball. It's not working. Sydney are just constantly sending men down into their forward line to make it a one-on-one contest, and then they're running forward at all opportunities to Sydney midfield.
They've got 8 men in their defensive 50, the Bombers.
High, Heppel's ball.
Now, what they've got to do is when they get the opportunity, attack and try and put score on the board. We saw it, if you remember the preliminary final last year, Hawthorn went super defensive when Port Adelaide were coming at them.
Yeah.
It's okay to be defensive and take all those defensive measures, but you've got to be able to hit the scoreboard when you get the opportunity. If that means you've got to keep some sort of attacking structure in place, well, then you've got to do that. Otherwise, you become far too predictable for the opposition, and then all the pressure will be on your defensive end.
And what's happening too around the footy is Sydney are dominating the contested possession this quarter, so Essendon can't get their hands on the ball to get composure with the ball and just kick it around to each other.
2 ruckmen tie up. Heppel flicks it back. Danger zone. Smith. Bombers have the numbers.
It'll sit up.
Franklin beat the 2 of them to it. There's 1 kick in it. He drives it long. Goddard gets back.
It wasn't the right option.
Oh! Jack, the steal, gets it back. This is to tie the scores. He can't mark it.
Super spoil.
Still a chance.
Fumbles everywhere.
Through Jenner's legs. Jack, their captain.
Kicked it.
It's all square. This is a freak show.
Well, who would have thought 15, 20 minutes ago when really for the first 3 quarters Sydney were insipid almost. Not insipid, that's probably too heavy a word, but had no composure around the contest. They've been fumbling all day. They've just come out, they're throwing caution to the wind. Been terrifically led by Kieran Jack, their captain.
How good was the spoil from Hooker?
All of a sudden, great spoil, but all of a sudden, Essendon are starting to fumble. Great leadership, Kieran Jack. Hats off to you, mate.
So now we go back to a normal structure. 6 forwards at each end. It's about playing attacking footy again. Go back to what they were doing early, the Bombers. That's what they've got to do.
Hard attack from players of both teams. It's been an amazing final term. Over 40 points up. Lloyd and Laidler's on the overlap. They could take the lead. Flicks it back to Jack. Great attack from Hibbert. couldn't get it out. Lloyd keeps it running. They've got the fitness here. They're inspired right now. Hanbury long. Reed's down there. One grab, not the second. Hurley to Fletcher. And it lands kindly.
See, the pressure's on, isn't it? They are tightening up the Bombers, but they've got to maintain their composure. Just got to not panic. I mean, when you've got space, use the space. Take the time to hit a target. Don't just throw it on the boot because you think you're under pressure.
Sydney haven't scored all day from a stoppage. Could this be the time?
Back into play.
First time today the crowd's been chanting.
Oh, Grundy.
See what it's taken its toll on Sydney too. There's a few tired swans out there. This has been an enormous effort.
Difference is they've got Jake Lloyd who come off as a substitute. He's been fresh, whereas Essendon have had to use their sub very early.
Interesting to see James Hird down on the boundary line. Wants to get close to the players. Talk about composure.
Pity you can't come on. 5 minutes 21 left. They have not led today in this game, Sydney. And that's a little harsh. James Hird on the big screen getting booed. Ball knocked down. Goddard. Hairpel. Ambrose. Collier. That doesn't stay in. Crowd. Suddenly there's 40,000 in here. That's what it feels like. Sure.
17-7, the inside 50s. Well, of course, that number's going to be like that when they've got 7 or 8 defenders, Essendon. They've got no one forward of the ball.
Oh, dangerous kick.
Rowan down the middle, trapped by Collier.
Really dangerous kick. Another fumble.
Picked his pocket. Jetta wants to run, couldn't get it and run. Collier caught, dump. Lloyd bangs it forward. Franklin, Melksham.
Good courage by Melksham.
The crowd look at the scoreboard here. They think the siren is going to blow any second. They look at the scoreboard. There's 31 minutes gone because of the stretcher. We've still got 4.5 left. The players don't know how long left. The players need the runners to come out and tell them. Rowan through his hands. You want to win the game in this circumstance, but you certainly don't want to be the player that loses it.
Quite a few midfielders too not getting their hands on the footy this quarter for Essendon. Stans had nothing. Cooney 1. Hibbard 1. Melksham 2. Need more from them.
Heaney, their 18-year-old. Franklin, one-on-one. Hurley, Franklin, hooker. Makes it somebody else's worry. Zaharakis stood under it. Rowan flicks it off. Couldn't quite strike it. Jetta waits for it. Tries to get it on the run. Ball comes up. Of all men, they're in front.
Oh, wow.
We're seeing more and more Sydney players push forward and find space because the Bombers don't have the legs to get all the numbers back. They've been running up and down the ground all day, and in the end, it's just wilting under the pressure.
You know, Buddy can hurt you there. He gets up around the stoppages, run back towards goal. They are definitely out of legs, the Bombers. And the message would have been by John Longmire at three-quarter time to Sydney, throw all caution to win. We're down by 20-odd points.
Well, from the outset, this would have been a miracle win if the Bombers got up. Right now, it will be one of the great wins of all time. If they could steal some points from this, there's still time. They don't know how long left. There's one kick in it, 6 points the margin. Zaharakis put his team under immense pressure. Hanbury stands his ground. Ball comes to Merritt. Collier with the back heel. Jack. Lloyd got it from Smith, bangs it long. Look. Umpire says deliberate.
Oh, come on. That came off the side of his
He's been good, Lloyd, there.
Oh, he
take it back.
He has to start outside the boundary line. That was the issue.
Franklin and Tibb have stood up in this last quarter. 4 goals between them.
That's a poor kick.
After a quiet day.
Rampy caught by Hurley.
Yeah, he's unlucky there, Hurley, because he couldn't see when the ball was released from the tackle. But they're going to get some numbers back, Sydney. There's a lot of players struggling to get back.
Just go to the big forwards, as you said. They've kicked 4 between them. This has been an even greater effort because their best player, and clearly their best player, Luke Parker, in this game, was knocked out early in the quarter.
Bomb to the square. Tippett's under it. Not the third grab.
Yeah, that was close.
Haven't they looked dangerous this quarter?
They're still alive, the Bombers. 6 points, the margin. Out of play inside 3 minutes to full time. And the hush falls over ANZ Stadium. The crowd look at the scoreboard. 34 minutes gone. Heaney spins around the body. Gets it to the goal square. Tippett's there. Fletcher's there. Laidler takes it out.
Well, it'd be so disheartening for them now. The Bombers, they know it's going to have to be a big miracle here.
Well, they're only a goal out of it. It's one kick and they're back level.
But they've got no energy. Look at the movement here at the stoppage. There's no movement from the Essendon players.
They'd probably take a draw now. Bird around the body.
What they don't want
Laidler.
They don't want a point.
Kennedy. Oh, he kept that alive, Tippett. Could have put it through. Could have made it 7 points. Could almost have made it impossible.
Yeah, I'd take a point right now if I was Sydney.
Yeah. Even though you give the ball back to Essendon.
Keep an eye on Buddy here. Will he jump up and try and smash it through as the third up? Or someone else? Here it is, Laidler.
Cunningham. Tucked into the boundary. Pokes it up. And there's that.
It was out of bounds before he kicked it.
Who's writing the script? This has been phenomenal. If you joined us late, Essendon led by 40 points. They've run out of condition, and last year's grand finalist has been overwhelming.
They need to pull players out, the Bombers, because Sydney have got 2 spare behind the football.
Zaharakis trapped it well, flicks it out. Heaney, the 18-year-old, to be the hero, the local product from the academy, and he may have sealed it.
Look at the elation of the Sydney players. They know they've got out of jail here today. For 3 quarters, they were dominated by a more committed Essendon side, but unfortunately, I think the lack of match practice and losing Myers early and not having that fresh sub to come on has told the tale. They've run out of legs. They haven't scored since the 19-minute mark of the third quarter, the Bombers, and it's really been all Sydney since then. But credit to the Swans. They had to find something when most of their players were playing well below normal levels.
From the ball up. Still 2 minutes left. Towers. Kick smothered. Still fighting on. Watson dragged down. Caught. Throw it away.
Now they'll take their time. All of a sudden that play on at every opportunity has gone out of the Swans game because they're happy to chew up the clock. Kick wide. Try and maintain possession.
Canterbury. Sets it up long. Tippett.
Nearly took another one.
He's looked very dangerous, Kurt Tippett, in the last quarter. He's playing the front spot. He's a very big man, we know. Put Dustin Fletcher to him now. He's had a lot of almost as well. He's almost taken 3 or 4 grabs in this last quarter as well as kicking a couple.
Ball knocked down. Heppel. The Bombers players probably know now. Hibberd, short. Kearney, who's been inspiring, back to Hibberd. Hooker sent forward. Richards. Fist wins out as always.
Sydney will just get as many numbers now down to the contest.
Sam Reid's behind the last line of defence. He's sitting back as a defensive sweeper. So they've got the tall down back for that long kick that comes in. You've got a couple others drifting down, filling up holes.
Goddard dumped after he tried to get it away. No free. Howlett, who had to come on early as the sub. Man down early with Myers' injury. Franklin.
Oh, well done
early.
Been a good contest, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
Jetta. Oh. And they didn't get that.
Play on. They haven't heard the call.
Not 15. He chips it. And Bird can hold it.
I've liked the game at this point, Jake Lord.
He's been good since he came on, hasn't he?
Yeah, and that's what you ask from a sub. You want him to come on in the last quarter and a half and just provide a lot of run and energy, and that's something that Sydney lacked for the first 2.5, 3 quarters.
Tippett, Fletcher right on him. Close to the boundary. Kennedy. Seconds tick down. This has been phenomenal. They've come off the canvas to steal this one, the Swans, against all odds from 40 down. And John Longmire has stolen this one, reached into the fire and pulled something out. A phenomenal start to the season for the Swans and for the Bombers. As if these players haven't had enough to cope with. They face the script from hell. James Hird, first game back as an AFL coach. As much as this has been about the Bombers, and it was about the Bombers today, the Sydney Swans, last year's grand finalists, a 10-goal humiliation at the hands of Hawthorn last year. The Sydney Swans have won in the end in inspirational style by 12.
It just shows you that sometimes a huge effort just isn't enough. For 3 quarters, it was almost Herculean, the effort. Let's go down to Cam Mooney, who's got one of the match winners for Sydney.
Oh, probably got the match winner down here, Jace, buddy. 40 points down going into 3-quarter time. Tell us what was said.
Just pretty much winning contested ball. We're down for 3 quarters, and it was about winning the ball and getting it forward and then putting the pressure up at the forward line. And we're able to do that, and we're able to capitalise and come away with an unbelievable win.
What about the first 3 quarters? It was very un-Sydney-like. You got beaten up around the ball a little bit today, didn't you?
Yeah, we got beaten in all facets of the game, defence, in the middle and up forward. So we just had to go back to the basics, and that was just winning the ball inside and then being able to run from there. And yeah, we got it going in the last quarter, but it's going to have to be 4 quarters from next week onwards.
Geez, the crowd's got loud all of a sudden. How about Tippett? You and Tippett last quarter, he really stood up, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He took some good, really strong contested marks up forward, and yeah, it's just awesome to play with him. And young Isaac Heaney, what a goal by him too. So he's another young boy coming through, and it was a good win.
Do you need to take Parker out for a little bit of a coffee later on?
Yeah, I'll fix him up with a coffee during the week. He's a tough bugger though. He got up, so I'll have a chat to him after this.
Mate, it was a fantastic win. Great result. Well done, buddy.
Thanks, cheers.
AFL football never ceases to amaze. Sydney from 40 down, 10-12-72 to Essendon, 9-6-60. The Swans home by 12.
This has been a Fox Footy production, part of the Fox Sports Network.